Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm starting a little early. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being here. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. I hit that button a little early and I'm here now. But yeah, so I've noticed that there have been a lot of discussions about the election coming up, politics and everything, and that's cool. What's going on, Chaos Rain? And we've had our back and forth. Other people have had their back and forth about the election, about, Biden and Harris versus Trump and his camp and everything. But in the midst of it, I noticed that it's a lot of mental strain on people. And just in general, even if this was not a election year, there's still a lot of mental strain on us as a people because of course, the history that we've endured in this country. And so the first time we were talking about, this is about a week ago, and I was speaking with Salchih on just health. And see, one thing about me when it comes to someone talking about health and loss of family members and things like that, because he didn't have to share that with me, but he did. I didn't want to come here and the first time y'all actually hearing him talk, what's going on, R. Clark, NC worker. I've heard some good things from you, NC worker. I appreciate your commentary. But yeah, I I think that it's not appropriate, I would say, to what's going on, Shalonda? Back to the basics. Yeah, smash that like button, y'all. I don't think it's appropriate to just like bomb this person with questions like, how are you feeling, and how is this, because personally I'm not a counselor. Shout out to Counselor Murray. He was talking with Bernard Riley on one of his streams about mental health. Shout out to Topaz Presents. She talks about mental health and how important it is to discuss issues with each other, and how important it is to be honest with each other. Because I think that's another thing that we have issues with, being honest with each other, being vulnerable in certain spaces, right? How you doing, Miss G? So yeah, I thank y'all for coming. Appreciate the likes and the support, and appreciate your kind words and helpful words in the chat as well. But I didn't want to come and just lambast him with a bunch of stuff like, well, how'd you feel when this happened? How'd you feel when that happened? So I felt maybe for you all, it would be good to introduce the applications that are used to study a lot of these things, because that way we're all empowered when we go to the doctor's office, because sometimes a lot of us have to go for our older family members, right? And they don't really know what's going on as far as the test, what the test is saying, and why are they giving these results to me. Even for children, just like in my icon, this is the image that I want to see more of from both sides of the field, where you have parents bringing their children, Black parents bringing their Black children to Black medical professionals who understand, the socioeconomic and the cultural implications and issues that you're bringing. So they're more, not even just empathetic, they're sympathetic because they're in the boat with you. At least class wise, maybe not financially, but because it is a physician versus, you coming in as a patient, but perhaps, culturally, I would think there's a connection there, more of a connection than with physicians or medical professionals from a different background. So when we have a lot of these conversations, I feel like to help the person rationalize, why something may happen, why this may have occurred, why, we have this particular test result and stuff, is to give what the doctors are seeing. This is what they see. This is what they mean by this. And you are empowered now to ask questions when you go into the doctor's office. Because a lot of times we go to doctor's offices, myself included, and especially back in the day, I didn't know what to ask. I kind of just sat there. They rushed me in, they rushed me out. I felt used and abused. I felt vulnerable. I felt like, wow, I don't know what the heck just happened, but I feel weird. Like, what the heck? Did they just give you a prescription, like go to CVS and get this done and, get some drugs and go home? Like, okay. And I'm like, I don't know if that's all there is. I still have questions, but by the time you have questions, you're driving home at the light and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't get a chance to ask this and that. What's going on, AV Media? So, and by the way, anybody in here who has a channel of their own with content, you want to post your link to your channel or any video that you would like somebody to go see, feel free to do that. And mods in the chat, go ahead and do that. I don't have a problem with that. So, that's any stream, any video I do up here, you can do that. It's fine. But, back to the topic at hand, like, I think it's a discussion that needs to be had. A lot of us are afraid to say, like, oh, I feel uncomfortable with that, especially now. And I've mentioned this a couple of times where I've had discussions with people, out of this sector and not here on this platform. What's going on, West Coast? Malika Mabane, where's that content, brother? Where's that channel, brother? I'm always messing with Malika, but peace to him, much respect. But yeah, a lot of people would say during COVID that, they feel like they're rushed in and rushed out. They feel like there's not a personal, personalization that's going on with their care and their treatment from the physician's point of view. They feel, from looking at it from a physician's point of view, because see, I speak to physicians, I speak to nurses, I speak to patients, I speak to like everybody. So I see from both sides. From the physician's point of view during COVID-19, they're like, look, I'm trying to prevent the patient from, exposure. I'm trying to prevent them from having any kind of exposure. And I have to challenge them on that. I'm like, wait a minute, these complaints and these grievances did not start during COVID-19. They did not start in January 31st of this year. These grievances have been going on for decades. And they're like, you know what? You're right. We have to think about how, these are physicians telling me or nurses telling me this. They're like, we have to think about how we interact with some of our patients because they already have a cultural distrust of the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry. And they're asking me, like, how do I, how would you go about it? I'm like, well, you need to empower your patients. You need to inform your patients of why you're doing this, why you're doing that. You need to stop booking double, triple, quadruple booking patients for one time slot. That's what you need to stop doing. Because it puts a strain on everybody in the whole doctor's office. It puts a strain on the receptionist, a strain on the nurses, a strain on you, but most importantly, a strain on your customers, aka the patients. That's a problem. I was like, I know, like, and he was like, I don't really do that. I said, I know you do that. Everybody do it. Like, you ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie, Craig. Dr. Craig. You ain't got to lie to me. I know what's up. I can go look at the logbooks now and see people triple and quadruple booked for one time slot. And you rushing people out 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes here, and they really need 20 minutes of conversation with you about how they feel and stuff. And then he said something that really made me upset for a quick second, but I had to remember who I was talking to. But he said, he was like, well, I'm not a therapist. So I really don't know. And I was like, really, dog? Really? Like, you're not a therapist. He was like, no, I'm not a therapist. That's not my specialty. Your specialty is to do no harm. They didn't say specifically in that, in the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm physically, but mentally, oh, who cares? They got a therapist for that. That's not what the what the Hippocratic Oath is saying. It says do no harm, period. Like, that's it. So as a general practitioner, as a specialist, an internal specialist or something like that, OBGYN, proctologist, urologist, or anything else, nephrologist, it's your duty to make sure your patient is as healthy as they possibly can be. You know, that's an honor and a duty as a physician or as a nurse. And a nurse as a, you know, to support the physician. You know, it also to challenge them on some things they may do that is going against the Hippocratic Oath, for instance. You know, you're supposed to uphold a certain standard. And my thing is, if I were a gym prac, if I were a general practitioner, and I recognized that my patient was still dealing with some, you know, maybe some mental illness issues, or maybe they're just maybe slightly depressed or something like that, and I don't have the ability to test or, you know, assess whether they have that issue, that's your time as a physician to do something that everybody does. It's called a referral. Let me refer you to a therapist that can help. Let me refer you to somebody that where your insurance pays 100% and you don't have to worry about it. You just show up and you let them know what's going on, because we all know you have mental, physical, and spiritual health at stake. And so as a physician, I see you, Salchih. I got you in 1 minute. As a physician, that's all I'm saying is, like, if you're empowered, you put yourself ahead of the game. If you are empowered as and aware of what's going on as a patient. But we got Salchih here. You got the man of the hour. I was just introducing and reintroducing some information from last time we spoke.
Okay. Good
So
afternoon.
good afternoon to you. How are you doing?
Man, can't complain. Can't complain. Everything's good.
Mhm.
So what did I miss? Because I heard you were talking about referrals from physicians and
Yeah, yeah. So the referral thing is something that a lot of physicians I notice, and I'm speaking personally and also from other people's grievances and complaints that they've had, where they're like, you know, I'm if you get a medication from a physician, you go back to the physician because there's some issue, or you even go to the ER because there's a, you know, emergency issue, right?
yeah.
And the physician there is just like, well, we're just going to make an adjustment to the drugs. You're going to increase the dose or decrease the dose or whatever we're going to do, instead of saying, you know, in addition to that, say, well, how are you feeling? You know, how many times have people actually like heard their physician when they're in the doctor's office because they're rushing you in and out, where they ask, well, how are you feeling? You know, now that you're on this medication.
Well, I think
Mhm.
uh, well, there's obviously two things going on. One, they're trained, to subscribe um, medication for the most part. They really don't. A regular physician, they really don't look at
Right.
you holistically. I mean, that's just their
Right.
training. I mean, nutrition is an elective, literally, to
Right.
be. So that tells me a lot. And the second thing, I think in this country, I think uh, in the medical field, mainly with doctors, the care has gone down after Obamacare, and
Mhm.
and the only reason why I call it Obamacare because it passed through during the Obama administration. Technically, they've been trying to push that through since the Reagan administration. Just so just for anyone who wants to argue between Republicans and Democrats. so
Right. Yeah.
so there you go. This is going back to the 80s. So we have those two things going on, and I mean at that time I remember this is early 20 teens. and I was dealing with some stockbroker guys, and they were telling me, because obviously they had clients, and they were like, a lot of their clients that were doctors, they were either going to retire or they were going to just leave the country if they wanted to continue to practice, because their biggest gripe with the way the system has changed is that they're losing more power, in terms of more of the power is going to the administrators. So
Yeah.
now it's literally just a machine to pump you in and out. So those doctors who really, really care, for the most part, a lot of them really can't do what they really want to do. You know, they either go private, which a lot of them did, and guess what happens when they go private? That means the majority of people can't afford them, because that means a lot of them, a lot of the health insurance either won't cover anything or will cover very little. So that means it's coming out of pocket. So that means it's only going to go to the
Mhm.
rich and the wealthy for the most part, or high middle class, healthy people. So that's what's been going on since for the past, almost decade, for the most part. Actually, yeah, for the past decade.
Mhm. Yeah, I just told NC work I'm gonna let you rock because I know that and see that's the thing, listening, active listening. So I've heard you speak on other panels before, and I know that I think you mentioned something about martial arts, and
Yes.
you've mentioned things about nutrition as you just did earlier, looking at people holistically. So when people speak about when they say certain things, you have to pick up on that, and it kind of feel like, for me, for anybody in general, whether it's you, Salchie, or anybody else, whether it's nameless, whether it's anybody that comes on here on my channel, I if they have something they've told me, and then we're gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna just come out and be like I said earlier, like, how are you feeling and how this and like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna ask you that. That's crazy. Like I'm gonna try to rationalize it and empower people, educate while I can, so that you're more comfortable with having that discussion like today if you want. But if not, then we can do exactly what we're doing now, which is still helpful. I'm not going to force myself. Like I said earlier, I'm not no counselor.
Yeah.
Shout out to Counselor Murray and shout out to Topaz and other people that are here on this space who are doing the work for real, in real life. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And they have so many things that they've talked about. But one thing I will say that cuts it right down the middle, both of them have said this, and other people who I know that are mental health professionals, like it, outside of this space,
Yeah.
like in everyday life, they say the same thing. You have to look at a person holistically. You cannot break a person down into parts and think you're going to get any kind of positive results.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you were saying because you're looking at it from, several different perspectives.
Correct.
Very important. Yeah.
It's hard. Well, it's not hard for us, but it's hard to explain, because most people aren't conditioned to look at things at a macro level, or at a holistic level.
Mm.
And so when you're talking, a lot of people, for the most part, they feel, not think, they feel that you're being condescending when you're just giving them information. You quite literally give the information. You're giving them power to have
Mm.
sovereignty over themselves, and they don't get it. And I see that more and more. When I was younger, I would just give out information and people get pissed off, and then I get pissed off because I'm like, you idiot, I'm giving you the answer. Like what is wrong with you? Now, like, I'm older now, supposedly slightly wiser, a little bit more, slightly more patient. And I'm like, okay, I see why they think, like, they feel like that. All right, well, come to me when you're in, when you're ready, and I don't have a problem give you the information that you can go. I give you the tools so you can do what you need to do for yourself and your family. So that's
Right.
my approach. That's my approach now. So I totally understand exactly what you're saying, and you
Mhm.
are rare, because you're a scientist. You're a woman, and you see, and you can even govern yourself in real time. That's, especially in this day and age, is extremely rare on both sides, man and woman.
Mhm.
So it's a fresh, it's nice to hear and see. But yeah, it's tough, especially in this country, amongst black folks, because we got so much dysfunction going on,
Right.
and we got the rugged individual mentality, and we got the alpha my way through it mentality, while everybody else is moving as a group, and they don't like they're not thinking strategically. And I always try to get people to think strategically, and they don't want to hear it. I'm like, listen, I don't care how smart, strong you are, you will get decimated by a group. Period.
Right.
Okay, so you're gonna, and many of them, they have the mentality that, well, I'd rather die that way, and it's like, dude, you're defeating the whole purpose. Then
Yeah.
that's not strategic.
It's not strategic, and it's also, we have to remember that the young people are watching
That's
us,
right.
and they're seeing what we're doing, and they know that. I mean, they understand as they get older that we're multifaceted, individuals. Everybody has their own little things, little quirks and stuff. I got things that piss me off,
Yeah.
y'all know, and there are things that I'm just like, I'm not having this, and that's one thing that young people like, get past the cussing and all that, but you have to stand for something,
Yeah.
you know, and notice, recognize people that stand for something. You don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything, like the littlest thing, you'll fall for it.
Yeah.
Stand for something, have conviction about the things that you do, the things that you say, whether you're male or female. And that's not being pushed a lot. I noticed, I talked to my mom about this a lot because, and a lot of my family members are educators. And I talked to them about this. And they're like, yeah, that's not being pushed a lot in other classes, and not because of their own, them bringing their own experiences into the classroom as an educator, but it's not being pushed because it's not on the curriculum. And a lot of teachers teach to the book, they don't teach to wisdom, right?
Correct.
Like you said, like, for me, one thing that was an elective was nutrition.
Yeah.
We had nutrition as an elective, but we had like, and I understand, like, understand the history of religion. That was a major for me at that time. It was a major class, and I was like, "Wow, is this a major class?" But nutrition is you can opt in, you can elect to take
Yeah.
the option to take nutrition. I said, yeah, you can understand religion, but I can't eat the Bible.
Exactly. But
One,
it
it's
sounds
important, but you got to eat, right?
it sounds like that was their attempt an ethics class. That's what it sounds
Oh
like to
yeah,
me. That's what it sounds like. It's like, okay, we need to bring them back and understand morals and what we're trying to do. And it's like, I get it, but at the same time, what you put in your mouth, I mean, we are scientists, right? That is
right.
quite. I mean, there are chemical reactions.
Yes.
Okay, and leave it at that. We're not saying
Mhm.
you can't be religious, but like, we got to look at this as it is. This is what we do every day.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Hmm. I mean, there are certain things that are, and I'm not downplaying religion by any means. There are certain things that are in all religions and all belief systems where it does relate to etiquette, relates to food, relates to health, wellness, and mental well-being. And I just have to mention, like, that back to the basics said something I was thinking about. I don't know why, but y'all gonna laugh. But I get on here, like, when I be thinking stuff, y'all say it, and I'm like, I was just thinking that. Like, why are you
Yeah.
in my head? But she said journaling. Journaling is also underrated too. And another thing that we did back in the day, I know they don't do it now because my mom has seen the shift. It was silent solitary reading, SSR. We had SSR after, um which is so weird. We had SSR after we had lunch in school back in the day. And SSR was it was only 30 minutes of reading, silent reading, and you had the option where you could actually read or journal.
Okay.
So, because what you're journaling, you're reading, right? You have to be able to go back and read what you just wrote. So SSR was two ways. It was a binary way of looking at words and comprehending that and interpreting that. And we also had to do creative writing on Fridays. We had to present something that was our creative writing, presentation. And everybody went around the room, they read. So it gave the opportunity for children to read out loud to each other,
Correct.
find out the words. You had to use a dictionary for some of these words and a thesaurus. kids actually knew what a thesaurus was back in the day, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah. I had
And
one in my house.
good.
My dad had one.
Yeah,
Blue book.
yeah. Yeah, we
So,
had a
so
big red one. My dad had a big red thesaurus. It was about as big as those encyclopedias, like
yep.
it was Encyclopedia Britannica, the World
Hmm.
Book. I mean, these books had dust on them, but we were still like, these are his books from when he was younger. He was like,
That's
man,
right.
we're gonna get these and take them out. And then they had the World Book was the burgundy and black one.
Yep.
It was like A B C D. Like each book was a letter.
Yeah. That's right.
And we
Yep.
had I remember that, and we
Yep.
would read it like, and he didn't just like some kids, their parents, they punish them like, go get the J book and
Yeah. Yep.
read. You got to write from page 20 to 40, and you got
Yeah.
to read and write. I was like, wow, that's your punishment, man. We got to do that
Exactly.
anyway.
Yeah.
But
Now,
that's what it was.
now you went to uh, you didn't go to a regular government school, right? You went to a Montessori school,
I
correct?
went to Montessori and I went to private,
Oh,
and because Montessori, it was much smaller. My mother had issues with Montessori because of the assessment was not on the same scale, and I think she was more afraid that we would have issues, like if we were ever to enter into public school, that there would be some problems. Like she didn't want us to, like, skipping once was fine, but she said she had issues with us like skipping more than one grade
okay.
because of the social differences that would be there. And
Yeah.
so I did. I was like, well, I can go ahead and you know get this done. But I went from Montessori very very young to private Christian private school to public school. When I got to public school, I noticed there was a huge difference. Like
Whole different animal.
they were not journaling and doing creative writing, and then when they did have like SSR, like I don't know how many times I saw like spitballs and stuff. I said we didn't have spitballs and stuff when we were
Yeah.
in.
It was a Wild Wild West.
Yeah, Christian school. You actually got popped. Like they sent you to the principal,
Yep.
and there was corporal punishment was standard, and most of the students there, the parents, I would say about, it wasn't a military school, but I would say more than half of the students there, parents, either one or both parents were in the military.
Yeah. Oh
So
well.
that
Yeah.
was, you go, I mean, you're gonna get it at school, then my mom gonna pick me up, I'm gonna get it from her, and then
Yep.
I'm gonna get it from dad too.
That's right.
It's just in that order.
Yeah. And it worked out.
Yeah, I was like, I went to public and I was like, these it wasn't just the kids. I was like, kids are kids, but I was
Yeah.
like, the teachers, they yelling at the kids. I felt
Hmm.
like physically, some kind of way about that. Like I would feel nervous, like, why are they yelling at us? We're not even, we're not doing anything that bad. They yelling. And so that mental health thing, and I'm thinking like, is this how all the teachers are? And they were. A lot of the teachers
That's
were
right.
yelling and pulling their hair out over the kids and stuff. I was like,
Yep. It's
mm,
the systems are they're very different, and I think a lot of, and you could tell even when adults are older, the way they talk about the private schools and the public schools, you can
mm,
hear disdain from both sides, and even as kids get a little older, there is a difference, and I know a lot of people don't want to admit it publicly. There's a
mm,
freaking difference, man. Like, I mean, I went to government school, but I went to preschool that was paid for, so that already set me ahead. And then my parents. My parents was the biggest thing. But up until high school, I mean, I was in government school. Up until high school, I was going to go to a private uh, um, high school. It's called Moses Brown in Providence, Rhode Island. If anybody knows, it's one of the top. It's a private school, man. And I was gonna go. Something happened. I decided not to go. But even when I spent a day there, because I knew one guy there, and I spent the day with him, is a whole, as you know, it's a whole different environment. Like, it's like
mhm,
you are not stressing like basic living stuff. Like, I mean, it's not there at all.
mhm,
And regular, people who went to, like the regular high school, especially when I went to, it was a complete opposite. Like, you're seeing like exactly what you're saying. You're seeing things that you're like, wow, these kids are really like struggling, or their parents are struggling, and obviously you can see it happening, being passed down to these kids, even though it's high school, it's pretty much already embedded in them. And these kids are going through a lot of stuff. Like there were a couple girls who were like, they weren't homeless, but like they didn't like have a family. Like I never forget one girl, um, she was white, and her mom was in jail. I don't know anything about her dad, but I didn't know up until maybe sophomore junior year that she was on her own, like for real. This is high school. And another girl, she literally didn't have family, period, and I didn't know, but she ran track and she's Nigerian.
Right.
Um, so I mean, you see a lot of these things going on there as opposed to the private school. I mean, of course, it's a different type of stuff going on there, but all this serious dysfunction that goes on, I wasn't seeing that in private schools at all.
Yeah. And see the dysfunction that you're talking about, that mm, it's all coming from, the family and
That's right.
the structure that's there or the lack thereof. Like my mom, like my sister, like, just personally, like she I don't think she was ready, to be a parent and everything. And she had, her son, my nephew, his dad's not there. And he has a lot of, like, of course, legal stuff going on. and
Mm-hmm.
and he doing things with his friends. He should hood rat things with his friends that he shouldn't be involved in, and
Mm-hmm.
caught up and all that. And he's going away, and it's like right when she having him. And so she frustrated. She really needed, I think, she really needed help, support, and we did what we could. But we're not, like I said, I'm not a professional. Like, I don't know how to go about talking about that, and especially when a person is very resistant and
Oh,
when they are not ready. That's why I have one of the questions, like, are we willing to receive help? Are we vulnerable enough to, accept that, yeah, I do need some help. I need some assistance, here. I just need some me time. I did that this morning. I was like,
yeah.
hey, I need some me time. I'm on a Heather Headley, like
Yeah.
Heather Headley, I need some me time, like, for real. And that happened because last night, y'all, on the stream, they in there doing all kinds of stuff last night. Oh, I know you went in the bathroom acting up, like, afterwards, right when I get on, then they want to go act up and turn the bathtub into a pool and all this other stuff. But it is what it is. Suds everywhere, but I'm
Yeah.
like, where was your antennas? Where was your antennas? Oh, I was what they do? What?
Yeah,
He ain't.
exactly.
And I'm like, man, come on. So she wasn't ready. And it's also another thing I want to say is that she she would not she would sweat the small stuff. I'm
Yeah.
thinking probably getting it wrong, but from my perspective, she always sweat the small stuff. It's like, you gotta laugh some things off.
Yeah.
And just keep it moving. What's the goal? What are you trying to do? And keep it moving. So that really showed me that she wasn't ready. She was ready probably to be a mother, but not ready to accept the responsibility
Responsibilities. Oh yeah.
that come. And it's like a snowball rolling downhill in a way, where as this child gets bigger and bigger and they're experiencing more, there's way more that you have to do. And somebody has to do it. If you're not going to do it, then who is going to do it? And so even now, like, my mom, as my nephew got older and older, my mom was like, I'm taking on most of this responsibility
Yep.
because someone has to do it. And you have to do your part. This is why I'm like, I say what I say on here, because it's a warning. It's not just to, be mean or something. It's a warning to other young ladies out there that may be going through that. Ask for help and accept the help, and stop saying, this is my child. You can't tell me what to do. This is my child. This is my son. And first of
Yeah.
all, it's your child. When the last time you read a bedtime story to him at night? You know, when's the last time? And he's 5 years old. He needs a bedtime. He needs a time to do. And yes, at 5 years old, we had homework. So you need time to come home, relax, get your homework done, eat dinner, calm down, get your bath, and then get ready for the bedtime story. Go pick your story, and then we read it to you, and you go to bed. They need structure, and there's fun mixed in there, but it's structure and discipline, especially with a boy, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
even this day, he's 11 now, and that's he's expecting that when something's wrong, he's like, and when they don't do that according to the schedule, he's just like, "Hey, is somebody sick? Are you guys feeling okay?"
Yeah.
And my mom's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, um, "I need to be on my schedule. I need to do this and that." He's
Exactly.
getting into that. So even if she's not there, if my mom has to go away for some reason, out of town or something, and then somebody steps up and or he's going to their house in the meantime, then he already knows what he's supposed to be doing, and
Yeah.
he's not gonna get off of that. I mean, he may slip here and there because he's a kid,
He's a child. Yeah.
but
But he
he
knows.
knows what he's supposed to be doing. Some kids out here with the dysfunction, they don't even know, like, oh, I'm
Well,
supposed to be doing this,
well,
Go.
I mean, as we always talk about, one, the environment enables this dysfunction. So,
Mm,
that's why you're seeing on both sides, why we see a lot of what we're seeing, and a lot of the women, especially the black women, and of course, we're not here bashing anybody, but just factually speaking, looking at
yeah,
evidence and numbers and blah blah blah, what we're seeing, the
yeah,
reason why they don't want to hear from anybody is because, okay, well, they're going to look at the dominant society, and that's what they're going to use as an excuse for them not being on their game. Well, well, you don't have a job that's make X amount of dollars, or you don't have a college degree like me that's higher than me. So
yeah,
how can you tell me anything?
mhm,
Or and but this all stems at home. Realistically, it stems at home, and they're not, at least on the female side, they're not. There's no rites of passage, and I always say that that's very important. And they're
mm,
not showing these girls how to become women, and then how to become wives, and what
hey,
a healthy relationship, how that's ran, generally speaking. So they literally don't know. And then
yeah,
on the guy side, what guys don't understand, and you can hear it, especially now through the manosphere, especially black manosphere, they don't understand, for the most, at least from the arguments, they're not seeing how women really see men. They don't understand that women see men, or feel, excuse me, women feel. A woman can be attractive to you for multiple reasons.
yes,
She could be attracted to you. Well, from a man's perspective, if she's not attracted to you sexually, forget about it. It doesn't matter at that point.
hmm,
So she could be attracted to you sexually, and then she could just be attracted to you physically. Two totally different things, and guys don't get that. So
yeah,
they're looking at, they're complaining about beta and alpha and omega and whatever else, and it's like, bro, like, at the end of the day, you're not seeing, because women are very ambiguous in their speech, generally
mm,
speaking. So they don't understand that these women, for the most part, when they're saying, there are no good men, or there aren't enough good men, they're really talking about the guys that they're sexually attracted to. But what
mm,
men are hearing is, you know, oh, well, I'm attractive, physically attractive. I got my stuff together. Yeah, that may be true, and you're getting that from many other types of women, or other, races of
mhm,
women, but
right,
the women are really talking about the guys that they're sexually attracted to.
right,
That's what they're really saying. But then
mm,
on the other end, the issue is, a lot of these guys that they're sexually attracted to, and that's fine. You're feeling the way however you want to feel, but there are consequences. If you're going to be reckless with your womb with those
mm,
type of guys, you need to understand, you need to handle your business, because a lot of those type of dudes, they're not. I mean, especially if they're not a responsible guy. So
yeah,
why would you expect them to all of a sudden be a responsible dude when he wasn't responsible prior?
right. Like you're
But
special or something, you're
ex-
like,
too many women think their vaginas are special. I don't know
I'm
why.
I'm a
I
little
don't know why.
snowflake. I wanna take a break real quick and pause for the cause. I wanna
Yeah.
shout out Jet Set Anime. Um, Professor Black Pill himself in the building. Thank you for your super chat. He said, "Great conversation." Well, we trying.
Hmm.
And I also want to, I want to shout out some of the cash apps. MLR, brother. One day you're gonna have to get up here, and speak your piece because you support this channel and a lot of other channels. Like, wow, like that's all I can say. Like every day, like it's like cash out, cash out. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you for that. Back to the basics as well. Seven Coast Dojo, the Black Brain Trust on behalf of Mike V. Thank you. And I had another one from Kujujima as well. Dr. Dunbar, PhD was in the house. I saw you earlier, sneaking in here. I saw you. Two Triv, thank you so much. Two Triv is another person that's always giving in the cash app. One day, I'm gonna have like cash app, panel and just everybody they always give. Like, y'all come up here, speak a piece, and say what you want to say.
Hmm.
And lastly, but not least, is Torrance V. Thank you so much for the cash apps, y'all. I'm gonna check and see if there's any more. Oh yeah, DS1, Sheep Stay Sleep. Thank you so much. He sent a cash app as well. Yes, thank you. Woo to Officer of the goddamn law, Charles
Faulkner.
Jr. Old Faulkner in the building. How you doing, honey? Soon to be perhaps Sergeant Faulkner. We'll
All
see.
right.
But we'll see. But yeah, going back to the snowflake thing, I think that's ridiculous. Where you're just, oh, I'm just special. Like nothing about you is like is going to, you think that your reproductive organs are aligned with gold. Well, if that's the case, you probably be dead. Okay, because somebody would have took it and
Exactly.
extracted the gold, and you'd be laying on the side of the road somewhere. So let's not go that far. Like, but still, you're not. You know, I'm awesome and amazing. To who? Like, you don't know this dude. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? Like, come on. Thank you,
And
Yang Bentley. Thank you. You said at the gym listening. Thank you so much. Get that workout on. Go ahead.
and and the other thing is a lot of women co-sign
Mm,
publicly co-sign this dysfunction. And well, I don't say it that much anymore because I just get tired of trying to break stuff down. um, the reason why there are multiple reasons why you'll see women doing that, and I tell guys, one, a lot of times you'll see a lot of older women enabling this dysfunction is because women innately they want to extract resources, and how they get the resources is through the men. So the older women who are also dysfunctional, at least in this country generally speaking, they're going to lead the younger girls the wrong way, the wrong direction. Instead of telling these girls what they need to be doing properly, they will say, "Oh no, love yourself as you are. Homegirl is 200 plus pounds. What are you talking
oh,
about? She
mm,
is. I mean, like, let's be real. Like, telling a woman that, hey, you are not healthy. Quite literally, you're not healthy. Like, that's bashing now. That just tells you where we are, and they're enabling this. And both sides, for the most part, they're not seeing how this game is being played. They don't understand how you see the older women, they're playing the younger girls, and how even some of the guys are playing the girls. So there's
mm,
major dysfunction on both sides. So I tell people, I'm like, just sit back, and you really need to look at life like chess. You really need to see how people really moving out here.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
that's what's going on with the women. And I always say, unfortunately, because physiologically speaking, if we're talking about childbearing years, a woman's prime, and I notice I have books. I have books listed even to give out for this stream. Their prime, because of progesterone levels and all other stuff, is 22 to 24. That is not sexist. Period. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
a woman over 30 can't have a child. When I say that, women especially get upset. But then I look at them and I say, did I say a woman can't have a child after 30, even 40? I didn't say that. I just saying, physiologically speaking, 22 to 24 is the prime. Yeah, might some every once you might get one who might go up to 25, 26, but that's not the norm.
Yeah.
Okay? So
Please.
if you're talking about women who want to have children or want to be wives, well, I think you should prepare them to be ready by that age.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're seeing a lot of these women over their late 20s or over 30, and oh, that's great. That's great. You're doing basic stuff. That's great. You're paying your bills like a responsible adult. Whoop-de-doo. But now you're trying to come back into the market to get these guys who we really don't really start getting our stuff, after 30. And in many cases, even 40. Like, they don't understand how that works. Our resources really don't start kicking in until, on average, after 40. So you're trying to get the best you can get past your prime.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole other group of girls who are in their prime. Like,
Y'all coming up. Yeah.
and when you say that as a man, especially a black man, you're bashing. No, I'm telling you what is happening.
And that's not bashing at all. It's being realistic. And I know
It's
that
right.
a lot of people, this kind of leads into what you were mentioning about progesterone, and I'm going to add in testosterone, estrogen,
That's right.
luteinizing hormone and things like that, follicular stimulating hormone, the FSH, the LH, the P, the E, and the T, all these things,
Yes.
all these hormones, and some of the regulatory genes that would help those hormones to go up or down. And so BGS, shout out to him. He did a video about esoteric differences between the anima and the animus.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of his video, he discussed how as women age, their estrogen levels go down. And the three major hormones, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, actually meet at one point and become, they converge
Yep.
at a older age, but that's at the expense of, complete drop off of estrogen.
Yep.
So you want to get women, and he said at that point it makes sense, because I know women like my grandmother, for instance, like she's in her 90s, and she's like, look, I don't care what people say, I don't care, it is what it is, she gonna do what she want
Mm-hmm.
to do, you
Yeah.
know. And even
She's
before that,
at that age.
70s, she was her 70s and stuff, she was like, I'm gonna do what I want to do, at that point, you're like, hey, I've done what I've done anyway in my life. I ain't gonna have nobody tell me what to do, and they're less likely to be worried about what people think. Their confidence level is even much higher, and the confidence level is high due to reduced estrogen, increased testosterone, increased progesterone.
That's right.
And but in their younger years, they're more worried about how they look, how they're dressed, how they are perceived by others, and that's the point that my dad and uncles had said like years ago, and I'm sure other men have said this too, and women. Like that's the time for. Oh, it's interesting that women from other cultures say this too. That women that are younger, that's the time for them to have a husband because they're more malleable, they're more moldable and
Correct.
comfortable to what to his program. And of course, these are women coming from India, women from Sri Lanka, women from Malaysia, from the Philippines, talking to me, even women that are from Kenya, Ethiopia, and they're telling me that that's the time. My old boss, she was married at 16 and she's from Kenya,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was the time that you get married. And I believe her husband was like 20 or about to be 20 when they were married, but they were vetted, like his family was vetted, her family was vetted, to the
Correct.
that there was like he was going somewhere or he already had been established in his field. And now you are transitioning from girl to womanhood, and you're more moldable at that time. The times have changed, here, but the it's not matching the biological and perhaps
Not
even
even.
cultural ways that we should go. That's what I'm seeing. So the biology is not caught up to. It's probably never going to catch up to what we're seeing in our society. As
Co-
far as relationships and stuff.
correct. Two things based on your comment. One, if anyone's interested, they can look. They can look at Natural Progesterone by John R. Lee, MD. I own the book. I read the book. Um, I have nieces and a goddaughter, so I mean, I want to make sure I'm not telling them nonsense. Um, That's one thing. Another thing in Africa, they don't really do it that much in many parts, but they used to for the most part. Many tribes, what they would do is they would have the top 10% of men, for the most part. That would be a young girl's first sexual experience because they understood imprinting. They
Yeah.
weren't, they weren't, they wouldn't allow some Joe Blow to imprint a young girl. Like it was
Right.
not, that was not the norm.
Hmm.
And then obviously they had rites of passage and other things. But that's why you're seeing here there's so much dysfunction. I mean, I'm not saying that you need to imprint young girls here, but I'm saying at least with the rites of passage, I don't have any of that here.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Well, things changed. Industrialization came,
Hmm.
and that's the one thing that changed. I mean, like I was saying last night, my grandmother, um, she went from working as a sharecropper, cotton. They used to compete against each other like it was a game on who was going to pick the most cotton that day. She started at 5 years old with a baler bag around a burlap bag around her waist with the tie offs and everything. So she had to wrap her fingers, learn how to wrap her fingers at 5, because when you pick cotton, you have to pick it a certain way so you don't get your fingers
You don't
cut up.
cut yourself. That's right.
Because
It's
you'll
hard.
end up having a whole bale of cotton, and it's pink, hot pink, like Father's Times super chat on here. Thank you so much for the $50. He said, bringing you some support. You've been on fire. Keep up the great work for our community. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna get that A game into some soup or some food. But I gotta think of a concoction. I gotta think of how I'm gonna get that. Not like a sneak surprise, but because like certain things like the taste and stuff like that. So I have to think of that. We've been talking about that here at home for a while, like how we gonna get that done, because some people got, where they feel like, oh, I don't like this taste, and they just throw it away. So we'll
Mhm.
see. But my grandmother, that was a game for them. And as they got older, I mean, I was like in tears hearing her say that, and as they got older, she was like, we had to get jobs and stuff. Like, I don't want to get a job. I want to stay here, because that was their life.
Yeah,
And they got married early, 14, 15, 16 years old. People got married, and you were in your home that you had to take care of. And she's like, when I went to get a job, it was like, it was hard. Because, and I said, well, why do you think it was hard? She said, because I wasn't meant for that kind of working. That
hmm,
I wasn't meant for that kind of working. No kind of working in a, this factory, or working at the Navy Yard, and doing this kind of work. And she said, I things it's supposed to be about family, for her as a woman. And this is like her 18. She's like, at 18, like I was just like, I don't want to do this. But at the time, the cost of living going up,
that's right.
consistently. And this is after you have world wars and all this kind of stuff going on. So she, depression and everything. So she said, I was afraid. And a lot of times being on the job, she said that I wish I could just go back to the field. I wish I could just go back to the farm. I don't want to do this. And because she said, believe it or not, we had more time to talk to each other. Get home from work, and you're talking about what you did at work, and but you're so tired.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that I didn't like being tired every day. And see, that wears on a woman as well. That
Well,
does.
well, what a lot of people don't understand is during the industrial age, and when things changed, when women started, especially when did they start really working? 60s. What was going on was they were being forced to be in their masculine. So
Mm,
at an
mm,
emotional level, they were burning out.
yes.
Just emotionally. Forget about physically. They were burning out emotionally and then physically. And then what a lot of people don't understand is now because women can work, there's millions of women all of a sudden that are in the market. I mean, just thrown in the market. What do you think is going to happen to wages on average? it's going to go down.
Yeah, of
It's,
course.
but a lot of people, they don't seem to get that part. So they'll just say, well, men don't make enough money. Then I'll say, well, then I try to bring them back to that time. Do you understand? They dumped a whole bunch of women into the market. Wages went down. And then obviously technology changed. So a lot of things either was gone or left the country.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, and then they had a lot of programs or tax credits for college. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of tax credits for college for more women to go to college to graduate. This is why more women across the board on each race, more women have more college degrees than any man in their group or their race. That's why. So when you try to break this down to people, those who are paying attention, they get it. The vast majority of people, you're bashing women and you want to impress women. No, I don't want to impress women. I'm just telling you what happened. And this is why women, and we see the results now, especially women over 40 in this country, big time on antidepressants. Why aren't we talking about that? Why are they on antidepressants? Why are many of them trying to freeze their eggs, hoping that this alpha man gonna come get her, save her? Like, I mean, this is what's going on.
Yeah. I was answering Crimson Cure. What's going on? Lioness, fellow lioness in here, sisterin. She said, I don't know exactly what we're talking about right now, but I despise structured work. Clocking in and out is not what I like to do. I like being feminine. You know what? You have a point. It does become very tiring, and it puts you into almost a trick bag at times because
Mm-hmm.
you have to constantly it's very cyclical, and it's hard on you because you have to constantly think it's like having being double-minded in a way
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because you're outside. um like I don't even like going outside that much, I really don't. Like, I'm driving and this is LA, so you spend hours on the road,
Oh yeah.
and you have no choice but to become like more masculine in a way because people are silly and stupid and can't
Yes.
drive.
Yes.
They just cannot drive to save their life. I mean, they're doing all kinds of things. They're drinking coffee, and then they're trying to do something else, and it's just ridiculous. Whooping their kids in the back seat, like all this stuff at the same time, and
Southern
we're going
Southern
down
Cal
70 miles an hour.
Southern California is a very interesting place, man. I mean, I've been there one time. I always wanted to go, but when I got there, I was like, man, wow, that's great. The women are beautiful, but a lot of y'all crazy.
Yeah. And see the thing that I chose, because I initially wanted to go and be a general practitioner, and I
Okay.
was like, "Ooh, that seems cool," but then I didn't like the fact that there was not um, it wasn't as balanced as far as like how are you directly affecting the patients, from like the drug standpoint. And I went into, I wanted to be more creative because it seemed very mundane and routine as far
Correct.
as being a gym prac. And I was like, maybe I can go into research. So I started to intern and do that, and I loved it. But now I'm looking at it, and it's because the workload and the requirements in the research field have expanded so much
Yeah.
from where they were even, 8 to 10 years ago. Things have changed so much in the field, and I'm actually looking to do the opposite, like do a more mundane day-to-day type of thing, like working as a professor or
Okay.
something like that, to focus on younger people now, teach what I have learned and help them to get their projects off the ground. Like, and that comes with age, and that comes with wanting to, do more for others, instead of like do more for others, like younger people, instead of like the patients I work with. A lot of them are very older men,
Yeah.
and I know that that's still going to continue, but training others what mistakes and what things to avoid, I think that's becoming more of my positioning, and that puts me into what kind of what Crimson was what she's saying, because that it gives me time to do that domestic stuff. Like I like crafting and DIY, and I like doing that stuff. The time is just not there. You know,
Yeah.
I love doing that kind of stuff. I have now I have to sit and I have to sit and watch the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Just sit and dream and hope, and like I'm like I wish I could do that. And I do a little here and there, but you know, doing it more actively, like that does not happen for me. Like sewing and like crochets and all that kind of stuff, and just really being more feminine. That's it's becoming more of a desire for me, because like I said, just the traffic and just dealing with a male dominated space, non-black male dominated space is my profession.
Yeah.
And they don't have no mercy on you. It's like they don't care who you are. It's like you do your work, you get it done, and that's it. And
Exactly.
their expectations are not about they're like how are you going to get it done. They just want it done.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
It's
nasty role to be in.
it's damn near perfection.
Yes,
Even though they know, even when they can't do it, and they know they can't do it, they still expect you to do it because you're not part of the tribe, technically speaking.
yes, yes.
And a lot of people don't get that. So, but even before you said that, you did say a couple, no words. You said domestic, and
Oh,
you
oh,
like to be domestic and feminine. I mean, what
yeah.
kind of woman? What kind of woman in this modern day age would want to do that? Why would you want to take us back?
Yeah, somebody emailed me last night. I was like, really though? Emailed me talking about some. I didn't know you like hair and makeup. Like, okay, yeah, I like hair and makeup, and I like. I mean, I said once a few times that I like doing art. I like painting, and I don't really want to go out and get a bunch of canvases and do all of that right now, because I'd rather like I need time to
That's
think
right.
about it and do it. I'm not Art New Style. You know, I can't get on there in a 4 hour hangout and have this beautiful masterpiece in front of y'all. I
Yeah,
can't,
Jimi Hendrix, and
you
you're
know,
like, oh
yeah,
yeah,
like
this
he has
dude got
everything
some,
in
he
there.
got real
I
talent.
can't do that, you know, but I have to have time to sit and contemplate, and which is a feminine, thing to just
Yeah,
sit and contemplate and let me try a new coffee. Oh, let me let me get some tea, and I'll go to the pool, and like those
and
types of
and,
things. Which
and that's
comes off as like an airhead type of
what
'cause some people may come off as an airhead, but
it's not.
we still
That's
get
feminine.
things done. That's feminine thing,
That that's that you're in your feminine nature. You
Yeah.
are that, and a lot of, again, because we're in the westernized society, they don't get that. Or you even hear a lot of women like, "Oh, why are the type of dudes into that type of girl? She's a bimbo." You
Yeah.
sure she's a bimbo? A lot of these quote unquote bimbos, they're not bimbos. A lot of them, they really aren't. I've been around. I've been fortunate. Been around a lot of very physically attractive women, and a lot of them, most of them, they are not stupid. I'm telling you right now, when you really get to know them, they are very smart. And many of them, they went to college, and many, all this other good stuff. They're very smart. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, some of them they have expertise and qualities in areas that you'd never expect.
Oh yeah,
I've worked with a few women like that they're from Europe. They're
yes,
very girly, and we can talk about, like, I mean, on our lunch break once I spent like 10 minutes talking to her about different nail polishes and stuff,
yeah,
because we were complaining about how we can't really wear our nail polish at work because of the chemical interactions on our nails, and it comes off. So I just, like I told Jason, I said, forget it. You know what? I ain't gonna paint my nails anymore. I just keep them clear. Either it's clear or it's nothing. So when I put something real nice and I have a little diamonds, and I learned how to do all that with the adding little diamonds and little things on there, flowers and whatnot, I said, no, forget this. And so we're arguing and going back and forth, the two of us, about nail polish. And then she gets me into this company called Julep, where you have your Julep account and you send people like discounts on Julep, and you can invest in other companies, out
yeah.
of that like kind of spring out of Julep. And I didn't even know that. It was like this whole world of investment, and and
Oh yeah.
getting your money and everything. And she was like, oh yeah, I do Etsy and I get money
Yeah.
from this. And she does what is it called? Uh what is it when they have, it's kind of like quality control, but say a company has a new product, they want you to try it, and so they'll mail it to her. She tries it, and then
Oh,
gives
oh,
them
they,
months and
they do test. I know what you're talking about.
like a tester, and she'll send back her response, and she might do a video response to them and send it to them, and they're like, hey, you know uh we appreciate your help, and they pay, send her a check. I said, wait, you said what now? They pay you for
Yes.
giving your opinion? She was like, yes. I was like, girl.
Yeah.
But this
Yes.
is the person who cannot, who struggles with calculating her concentrations for her for the drugs we need to use day to day. Like we were supposed to put 5 micromolar of a drug for a treatment, and she ended up, I kid you not, she put 500 micromolar.
Good Lord.
I was like, God damn. I said, wait, why the cell? We treated the cells at 8 o'clock and they were
Yeah.
dead by 10 a.m. I said, it's been 2 hours. Why the cells are dead? Why they dead? And she was like, I don't know. I only put 5 micromolar. I said, wait, show me your calculation. And she showed it. I said, woman. I said, this is 500 micromolar.
Yeah. It's 100 times.
She was
What are you
like,
doing?
oh my God. I was wondering why. No, it's 500 micromolar per mil, per
Wow.
mil. And she used like 10 mils.
Wow.
So I said, that is 500. I was like, what the hell? I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Thank you, Crimson Cure. I'm gonna read what you said in the super chat. Let's see. She put, even here on YouTube, due to choosing to be in a male dominated space, does take a toll on me. I have to unplug sometimes to feminine recovery. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It does take a toll. And then when you mention something feminine, they'd be like, what? You did what now? Like, yes,
Yeah.
I do little things here and there.
Yeah. I'm still a
And
woman.
we all do stuff like that as female. Well, a lot of us as females do that. It's just a balance. I think that back to the basics, mentioned that earlier. Yeah, and Malika says, he said, you're wanting to be a balanced and actualized woman. Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like I've given what I can, and giving, being a vessel, and giving, because when you put water in a vessel, you're pouring that out for other people. That vessel is giving it whatever it's containing it to other people, for nourishment or whatever. How that's how I see it. And as a vessel, I've given what I can, and I've learned what I can. Knowledge has been put into me. I've put it out, and now it's time to put it out to people who are much younger, and to help them to grow and go where they want to go. Not necessarily go in my direction, but to go what best suits them and their
Yes.
personality, and give them that the help that I did not get. Like, I didn't have. I've said time and time before. I didn't have. Dad said whimsical. I like whimsical stuff, but like decorating and stuff. I like that kind of stuff. But I had two black male professors, Dr. Anadu and Dr. Ananaba, both African men that were my professors. And one of them paid me, like I was getting paid in his lab to work. And he was like, you got to do what you want to do, but make sure that you can show up. Make sure it's the type of job that you can show up and you still do it with a smile on your face, even if you weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
That type of thing. But yeah, I think that all of that goes into a lot of things that I wrote down, because I got my notes.
Yes.
Um, so
As do I.
I have my notes now. Self awareness, self esteem, and self improvement. Those are three things that I was hoping that we would touch on, and we have, and I appreciate that, because the the other thing, oh yeah, the other thing you mentioned, you said, because I asked the question, are we choosing to remain in pain? And you answered it when you were talking. You said we are enabling dysfunction. So that's a way of a lot of people choosing to remain in pain, which is not good.
Correct.
People see somebody else in pain, for instance, and people might get mad. I think Lizzo was in pain. I'm just gonna say it. If
Clearly.
she's not in pain, then pants in pain. Okay. Okay, and that shirt was in
Yes,
pink. It was in some color. I don't fit you. Like, take me out,
correct,
throw me away, throw me in the trash, throw me in the closet where I
correct,
belong.
correct.
I
But
can live my life all stretched out and miserable. Like that's how I felt. I felt for the pants, man. I was feeling for them pants. I was like, man, oh Lord, like just take them off. Not here. Take them off in the closet somewhere.
exactly. But they think that, or in this environment, it's they're saying they're saying that being fat, obese, and unhealthy is okay. It's
Right.
not
Not
normal. It's not normal. Forget
right.
it. It's just not normal, and then it's not healthy. But how they spin it is that, oh, you're being superficial. I just said, homegirl, clearly, internally, is not healthy. I ain't say anything about whether I find her face attractive or I want to have sex with her. I'm saying she needs to really take care of herself. So I
Yeah.
actually care more about her. I don't even know her than those
Right.
around her.
Right.
Am I the only one with any sense right now, or are all y'all crazy?
Yeah, they're crazy.
You're all crazy.
They're
I'm
crazy.
gonna take my bag and I'm gonna walk off. All
They're
right,
crazy. And
and that's
I wish people would stop saying like, "You can't call them crazy." I just did. What you gonna
you're
do about it?
crazy.
You crazy? Yeah, you need some help. You want me to say that? I'll be nice and I use a euphemism. Well, what's the one my grandma used to always say, my aunties and stuff. I'm gonna pray for you.
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
pray, baby. I'm gonna pray for you.
yeah.
I'm gonna send up a prayer. I'm gonna send up a prayer for you, honey. And they just pat you on your shoulder. And as
Yes,
soon as you walk off, they be like, Lord Jesus, Jesus,
yes.
Jesus. Like they
Stop
start
singing.
singing.
Yes,
Grandma, I know you ain't talking about that girl. That girl. Woo. Oh, she
sing.
said they would say, blessed be the man who finds a good thing in that.
Yeah,
Blessed.
exactly. Just tell the girl to hit the gym and put down the damn chips and hamburgers.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, you know
then
what I mean? Like you're not hating on her. It's literally,
it's just
it
moderation and balance and
yeah.
having other outlets, which I was just talking about, like different things that you can do, that are outside of the norm, which is a sedentary lifestyle, not sedentary just physically, but mentally sedentary.
Yes.
Being able to think outside the box. And I want to read what the Crimson Cure says. She said, Lizzo is highly insecure. Wow, yes. And
Yes.
miserable. Her vehement defense of her weight tells me this. Yes, she's like, I don't care. Y'all can kiss my um my fat ass and
Yeah.
girl, my lips ain't never gonna be that big. Now come on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dwayne. Dwayne H. He said Lizzo's cholesterol is in pain. Oh my God.
Yes. And what do black women the top three things that black women die from? One is oh
Heart
gosh,
disease. One's heart.
heart disease is one of them. And where's that stemming from? So
Yeah,
if you're telling these women, hey, your health lifestyle is not good
conducive.
for you,
Right.
I'm saying for you,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, he's attacking me, and it's male toxicity and all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
other it's like, I mean, no accountability whatsoever. And we talk about stuff that can be controlled. We're not talking about, hey, try to fly. You know what I mean? Like, we're not talking about
Right.
impossible stuff. We're talking about stuff that you quite literally, you can put your hands. You don't need to touch this. You don't need to buy that. You don't need to spend your money on this. You can spend, go to the gym 3 days in the week. Just make it a habit. That doesn't mean you can't have a cookie every once in a while. Doesn't mean you can't have ice cream every once in a while. But damn it, all the time? I mean, but then with no man, I can't find no good man will shit put the cookie down sometimes. I mean, yeah, I told you what to do, and you hating on me for telling you how to win, how to get the man you really
Yeah.
want, right?
And you don't
Okay.
listen to somebody, and that's the thing that was like what I was talking about last night, the flip and flop. Like, they may come to you and this is coming from what Counselor Murray was saying, with the flip and flop. And he was like, they'll come to you and he said, I think a lot of he mentioned this, a lot of black women I think have more bipolar, or even some depression there and things like that.
Yes.
And a lot of these characteristics are seen with children that have ADHD and whatnot. And just listen to what Counselor Murray was saying with Bernard Riley. I think it was good. I'm trying to find a link, but um, at the same time, you can't flip and flop. You can't be like, I need help to figure out my lifestyle and make myself better. And if someone says, well, it's going to have to start with small changes here and there, or somebody that comes and says, we're going to be drastic and just dump out your whole refrigerator and all your cabinets and you need to start from scratch. Oh, this is too hard. It's too much work. Well, it took a lot of hard eating and stuff in your face and sitting around. So it took a long time for you to build up all that
That,
fat. It's gonna take a long
that's
time to take that fat off.
and,
You know.
and they don't seem to get that. You've been like this for years or decades, and you want to look the way you want to look in a couple months or a year.
Yeah, it's not gonna
You're
happen.
delusional. Like
Yeah.
you're literally changing your body's chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
So like you have to do this consistently and you have to make it a habit. Unfortunately, it wasn't passed down to you and then you didn't pick up on it even though it wasn't passed down on you from the outside from wherever else. Unfortunately, you are where you're here now. Now you have the tools. What are you going to do with it? You
Yeah.
know, and I can tell you in my own personal experience, I get, of course, because of my hue. So how dare I tell women how to be healthy? But then I'm the dude. Again, I don't meet that criteria of being over 6 feet. But let me tell you, when I go to the gym, the dudes who are 6 feet plus, I'm putting them to shame. I'm putting a lot of these guys you seeing, competing for weight and all this other stuff. I'm putting them to shame. Yeah, I'm 5'9", 100 and something
Yeah, you know what
pounds.
to do.
Yeah, I put up over 1,100 pounds on the leg press. I'm squatting damn near 500 free weights. Yeah, I'm putting in real work.
Yeah.
Okay, so I finally had, because of course no black woman wanted to go to the gym with me. They always want to ask ridiculous questions though, and then get mad at me. So I finally had this girl. I know she's Asian, single
Mm-hmm.
mom. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and she's attractive. So she knows, and she knows, Sal, you're always in shape, you're always on point. Please help me. I will go to the gym with you. I've heard this a million times, exaggerating. She actually went to the gym with me. And I told her, I said, before you even start, I'm not gonna go easy on you. I'm not gonna slow down my training. I guarantee you, you go to the gym with me with 3 months, you will have a different body. She said, you got a big mouth for saying all that, but I say, do you ever know me for not coming through for what I say? She said, all right, bet. 3 months later, Sal, thank you.
Yeah.
And we started putting stuff on at the time I was on Facebook. This is years ago.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can see the progress.
they saw, and of course, no black woman was responding because holy shit, this Asian girl going with this black dude, and I'm over here, I'm trying to argue with him, put him down, and holy shit, yes, holy shit. Here's the
Yeah.
proof. Somebody went
And
out
I
there
think
and put in the work.
you have, and that's one thing, like, and you have to find, she saw a goal and she wanted to accomplish
That's right.
that goal, and she did what she had to do. Like for myself, like I go out, like I was saying one the other day, we had the very early stream. Well, not too early for me, but early for a lot of people. I mean, it was like you know, it was like 7 in the morning, I think, almost 7, and we're starting this stream. I just came from outside. I'm dealing with rabbits and coyotes and freaking random dogs and random wild chickens, and I don't know where these chickens come from. We got these wild chickens running around here, and it's dark, and I'm out
In
here
LA?
walking. Yeah, I mean, I'm outside of LA.
Okay.
I'm just north of it,
All right.
and so a lot of because people don't realize a lot of LA is like desert. A lot.
On the outside,
Like
yeah.
you get into like the upper areas, like going towards like Santa Clarita and um what's the Panorama City, like all them areas up there. It's a lot of desert and parks that are pretty much desert.
Yeah.
And so you'll see, early in the morning, you'll see rabbits, you'll see like a coyote walking here and there. I'm ready, I got my mace, I got what I need, but I like that time. That's my time to reflect, my time to enjoy, you know, myself, and I'm improving on myself at the same time. Like, I like feeling, first of all, I like having the fresh air or that
Right.
early in the morning. This is the,
Yes.
my dad calls it the first, it's the first breath of God. It's the first air of the day,
Yep.
and the cleanest air here because we have a lot of pollution. So it's
Yes.
the cleanest air. And there's there's a few people that are out there, but not too many. And that's one thing I wish that, and women that keep saying, well, I can't work out, oh, I got this, that making up all these stupid excuses for it. Just get out there and do it, and just every day just keep doing it. Journaling helps, but I have a chance to like clear my mind, start my day off right. And like Crimson Cure said in the chat, you feel like better. Like I feel that way. Like I feel better. My mind is clearer of what I want to accomplish that whole week, not just that
It-
day.
Correct, and that's something my dad I got from my father, because that's exactly what he would do.
Hmm.
Up early. I mean, when I say up early, like clockwork.
Yeah.
Even up until, I mean, I moved from Rhode Island in
Mhm.
2016, but even up until I was, up there at that time, he was in his late 50s at that time. He was still doing that. He would do his push-ups in the morning. Then he would go out and he would run some 5 miles, no problem. But when he
Mhm.
was younger, he was doing the weights and all this other stuff. My mom not having it. But that's what he would do, and he wouldn't always tell me, because my dad, it was like, he only gonna tell you something one time and it's a wrap. So he would say, you want to get up early in the morning so you can have your time for yourself.
Yes.
Then before 12, you get the most important stuff done.
Yep. Yep.
Then you have the rest of the day to yourself, or whatever else comes up, you can handle it.
Yeah.
Facts.
I stuck with me since I was a kid.
Me
So
too.
now, so now I'm 37 and I see adults and I'm like, what the F is everybody doing?
Hmm.
Because it's normal to me. So when
Yes.
you so when
It's
you're
normal
telling,
to me. Yeah. That
yeah,
you have
so yeah,
to do
that's
that.
right. So when you're telling me you're going out early, I already know where you're going. I already understand. That's in a sense, that's like that's meditation, really.
Exactly. That's what
That
yeah.
really is.
That's what I was getting to. That's what it
Mhm.
is. You can, that inner voice. There's a lot of people. The inner voice is mute. It's on mute.
Mhm.
Then they need to, turn that mute button off and turn that volume up. Hear that inner voice.
Yes.
That like people have issues with forgiving other people. I hear a lot of people talk about, you got to forgive this person, forgive that person. You got to forgive yourself first.
It,
You
Facts.
gotta talk to yourself. You gotta hear your voice, your inner voice, and your inner spirit,
that
your
that
conscience, where you can say, I need to forgive myself. I need to figure out how I'm gonna restructure what I'm doing and try to have some progress in my life. That clearly affects your cholesterol, your blood pressure,
that's
your hormones and everything else. So
Mhm.
that that
that
that
is
is
just,
that is
other
a
people can do.
That's
Like,
a that's a fact, and people don't get that. They don't
mhm.
understand that your conscious, you're feeding your subconscious, which is more powerful than your conscious.
Yes.
So if you don't even understand how negative your subconscious is, but you're expecting whatever type of lifestyle results or what have you, you're quite
Mm.
literally out of your mind.
Yes.
Literally
May I
out of your
speak?
mind.
May I say
Yes.
something, y'all? Peace,
Yeah.
all.
Go
First of
ahead.
all, peace to everybody.
Peace,
I've been
Hmm.
peace.
listening to y'all while I've been clearing my mind doing housework and stuff.
Hmm.
But first of all, it's a great panel. It's a great thing about Black people and the mental health. One of our biggest problems as Black people, we worry about external results instead of internal. Because when we worry about the internal, that forces us to look in the mirror. We gotta say, "Oh, I gotta do me." Like one of the biggest problems we have a lot with our women is, the body consciousness. I accept me for who I am, accept me how the way I look, and I should do this. And if you don't accept me, then there's a problem. But then if you're a person like Salchih and myself, we're motivated, we keep ourselves in shape, we do that. I've been in relationships with women that didn't want to work out, women that were overweight. But then a lot of times when men, we're pathologically messed up. When we get around a woman, we focus on her. We lose focus on ourselves and we gather and get into their lifestyle. And we realize, damn, she's unhealthy. Damn, she doesn't eat right. Damn, she's got a lot of drama from this, a lot of drama for that. But when we point this to them like, yo, you need to slow down. Maybe you need to do this. And you try to tell that to somebody, they don't want to hear that.
Yes.
But you're supposed to accept them. But when you say, no, I don't accept that, then you're looked like you're the bad guy. And then also within our culture, especially Black American culture, you're not supposed to say no. You're supposed to accept somebody for who they are. How many times in our families and people that we know, and especially the older people from older generation, boomers, and from the greatest generation, somebody died, but then we don't talk about this person died from emphysema, died from diabetes. This person died from hypertension. This person died because, Uncle Joe, he came messed up from the war, or, Sister Corey, she was a great woman, even though that she was 300 pounds and she was only 5'2".
Correct.
And we make excuses for this. Like I told you before, Nicole, my grandmother, I loved her. My grandmother was old school like your family. But my grandmother had a triple whammy. My grandmother, ever since I know my grandmother smoked, she was a chain smoker. Oof. And also my grandmother had cancer, emphysema, and diabetes. Oof. And all that just was a big thing. And, Black people, man, we come from families where we like to eat. When my family gets around, we like to eat. And, just realizing of just how the way people act, sometimes it's, we like, when like Nicole was saying, she likes to do things feminine, even though that she has a profession and she has a man, she still likes to do things feminine and girly. And it's not just about, I'm going shopping with my girls. No, you just want to do things that are feminine, things that is a balance. You see, the problem with us, especially in the West, but especially Black people, is either we go to the extreme. You're going to do the extreme stuff that you want to do, or you're not going to do it at all. We never find a balance. And the thing is, we think the balance has to come within 6 months or less, or maybe I'll do it within a year, and I know I reached this balance of atonement. Balance is a yearly thing. That's one of my mentors told me. He said, you got to keep finding that balance. I remember in my last career, I was studying to be a supervisor. I was hitting the gym. I was studying martial arts, and I was doing overtime. And I started to develop gastric ulcers. And also I was having tarry stool. And I was young. I was like in my mid 30s. And and here's a funny thing. Like when you was talking about like doctors being really involved with the patients, is like talking to him. This doctor pulled me aside. He was a white dude. And he said, you're too young. He says, what you need to do, he says, you need to get peace. I said, yeah, and he says, no, he looked at me in my eyes and said, you got to get a peace of mind. Yeah. He says, don't try to do everything at once. He says, slow down. And it was so bad that I would grind my teeth at night. And I was grinding my teeth down, and it was this stress. And the thing was, when we as Black men, we want to get this thought of, I want to be anything and everything. I got to do this. I got to do that because I want to be this. But who are you trying to be this for? Correct. And it was just, and it became like an empty goal, diminishing returns. Okay, you're doing all this stuff, but to what end? And then I had to really understand to slow down. And the problem is when I see, I'm sorry, sister, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say one thing. If as females, on the flip side of that, we're encouraged to slow down. And a lot of times, and you working too hard, you need to slow down and slow down and do it though. That's what, and so that's when it comes to you as an individual to, think about, look at things differently, get yourself out of your comfort zone. And, sitting on the couch watching reruns of whatever, Real Housewives or Who Gives a Damn, and you eating your ice cream and chips and drinking your rose bay wine or whatever you drinking, and that's not that's not it. Get out of your comfort zone. Look at what the women who are healthy, look at what they're doing.
Yes,
and maybe not necessarily doing exactly what they're doing, but something like that you can enjoy and you can grow from. But go ahead. What were you about to say?
And to speak on what Malika was saying, what he was talking about was Form over function.
Yeah.
That's what's going on, especially amongst us in this country.
Hmm.
And it's just as BJ says, it's true. It is the freaking environment. Please stop arguing with him about it, because
Uh-huh.
my family is from Africa. Many of
Mhm.
them come here educated, blah 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 blah, and they do a lot of the same dumb shit. Why?
Mhm.
The environment.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
also we have an environment now where it's so unstable
Correct.
that
That is true.
it's like, well, we don't know what's going to be the next thing. You know, we have environments where they're not really conducive for real positive relationships,
Yes.
meaning that you want to have a good relationship with a woman or you want to have a good relationship with a man. All is just hookup culture. But then at the same time, you know, we're wondering, well, I want a good man, I want a good woman. Okay, are you a good person? Do you
Mm.
know what that means? Do you know what that entitles?
That's right.
Mhm.
You know, and here's the funny thing, like, you know, you got a person like, you know, if you have a person who's
Hold
I have
on.
an echo.
yes,
Of course, you have an echo chaos, honey. I'm gonna mute you up real quick. Go ahead, Malika.
but if you could have a person, they could have a good heart, they could be respectful, they could be kind, they could be all this and everything. But if you a person that you have some issues, like how you said, the obesity, the thing is that we don't want to say anything. Oh, we shouldn't say somebody's obese. I can understand if you need to lose a couple of pounds. But Kevin Samuels said there's a problem when a woman weighs more than a man. There's a
Yeah.
problem when a woman's bigger than a man. Not unless if a guy he's just skinny or if he's short. But I mean, when you're looking at physical, like when she's bigger than a dude,
Number
and
10.
yeah, and you wondering like, how the hell they getting it on? You know, damn, she must be crushing him. You're like, what the hell? And you know, and we real.
They got
Exactly.
swings, Malika. They got swings nowadays, but
Oh,
that's
But
what I
listen,
heard.
but can I tell you something? Here's
stealing
something.
force, stealing forced.
But can I tell you something? I don't care about no swing. I mean, like, look, I ain't got time to get no swing.
I was like, swinging
First of
what?
all, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, first of all, here's my thing. If I see you, if you my woman, I see you and you see me, and I'm grabbing you and we in the living room, okay, I ain't gotta say hurry up and get into the swing. No, we doing it right here and there. Or if we driving and if we drive and I'm looking at you and you saying to me, what's wrong with you? I said, you know what's up. And you be like, stop. I said, all right. When I pull into this driveway, you know what's going on when we get in this house. And if I'm chasing after you and you be like, stop, and you be like, hold on, let's go get in the swing. No. From the door, we doing what we got to do. No, this is what I'm saying.
I know what you said. That's how I felt when she said it. I was like, huh? I had that look like, what? I'm out of here. Like,
My thing
girl,
is like it. My thing is if you're gonna go on vacation, well, you got to bring your portable swing with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got to swing in the car.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is what I'm
And you know
saying.
what? You spend all that money on that swing, and then it takes a fraction of that. Matter of fact, it's free to get in shape, but you're gonna spend all that money on
Yeah.
that. That's what I was thinking. Like, really though, it's free to work out, but you
And
go
my
spend.
thing is, my thing for that, fetish is temporary. Whatever your fetish is and whatever you want to get into, okay, that's fun for every now and then. But pardon my expression, if you my woman, I want to fuck you right now. I want to fuck you right now, the regular, good old fashioned way. Having fun, getting in the swing, doing whatever your fetish is, whatever you and your person get, that's cool for, you know, all right, if you want to try that. But if it's like, look, I'm looking at you, you looking at me,
Yeah.
let's do this. Or it's not like, and I'm not saying don't have any spice in your life, but when you get to a point of you're making excuses, you're making amendments because of weight.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
But this is what I was saying at the very beginning when I got on the stream late.
Mm.
Women look at men for multiple things, and when it
Mhm.
comes to mating or the sexual thing, they're looking at you two different things: sexually and then physically attractive. I
Mhm.
mean, and many of us, I'm talking about the men, we don't understand those two differences.
Yeah.
Quite literally, we'll say, "But wait a minute, I know I'm attractive because I mean that's what I get that response. But
Mm-hmm.
why don't these type of girls, why aren't they feeling me? Even though I know I'm attractive, because she's not sexually attractive to you. But then on
Mm-hmm.
on the flip side with the guys, the women who want the guys that they are sexually attractive to, they're not, for the most part, they're not fit.
Yeah. But you see, that's the thing. When we
Mm-hmm.
see, but here's the thing, where you have sisters like Nicole and Kendra telling women, just because you're a female and just because feminism has lied to you and gynocentrism has lied to you, saying just because you got a vagina between your legs and you have a bunch of thirsty dudes, which in the past 20, 30 years you've raised,
Mm-hmm.
say that, oh, you're supposed to accept that.
No.
No, and the thing is, no, you're not. But then if a guy does not accept it, you're wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
you see that, but that's where you have the dichotomy. It's cool for you to pick and choose the man that you want, but it's not cool for me to pick and choose the woman I want.
That is absolutely correct. But the thing is, especially in this country, especially amongst black men, we are supposed to take anything. That's
because
that's
because
the mentality.
we've been
I don't agree
conditioned
with
that
it.
way. But here's the thing:
Exactly.
you have to
Exactly.
understand something, Salchih. We've been conditioned that way.
And no, I understand that. I'm just saying it from on the outside. I know the game.
Yeah,
I
and
see
that's
what's going on.
Yeah.
But but there, and this is when the shaming comes in. You see what I'm saying? So they shame you into doing these things that make absolutely no sense in the short and long term on any level, financially, in relationships, in the greater society, and while everybody else, other races or tribes of people are moving forward, they're gone. They're not even paying attention to you.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, we're supposed to remain stagnant.
That's right.
We're
And,
supposed, and if you talking now, here's the thing: when you're talking about the big scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Black people are supposed to remain stagnant.
correct.
It doesn't matter whatever it is because last time the black man, black woman, and black child were together as a unit was back in the '60s when you had the civil rights movement, and that's when the greater powers were like, "Oh, we can't let this bullshit happen again. We got to throw every little thing, every little psychological, financial curveball to set it up." We already got the hierarchy of white man, white woman, then black man. We got to keep that going on. So we're going to let the women get more education. We're going to keep the men stagnant. Only a certain amount of black men are going to be able to get education. We're going to let the laws become more. We're going to give them welfare. We're going to give them all these special programs that women can move ahead, but as long as they keep the man apart. And we're going to put everything from entertainment to law to anything social to separate the man and woman, and also to make the men feel inferior. But we're going to keep them sexually desirable.
Yeah.
And from a social standpoint, or looking at it as I look at it macroly,
Mhm.
if I want to dominate an area, I want to control the minds of the women. Because if I
Mhm.
control the minds of the women, I got the kids.
You got the
I don't
culture.
even I don't even need to bomb you guys. I don't need to shoot anybody. All I need is the mind of the women and the kids. And you're finished. And they've been doing that since slavery.
Mhm.
Period. So if we're looking at this just macroly, it was
Mhm.
genius, and they're
Yes.
working till this day.
Yeah, but just look how the way you were talking about Lizzo, and I'm not making fun of her. You have a woman who's clearly overweight,
Yes.
Yeah.
and who's a young woman, and if she gets older, we know probably she clearly has a lot of diseases and health risks.
Correct.
But she became a popular entertainer, and she didn't care about body shaming. But the funny thing is, she got the nerve to have a standard. She likes to date muscular women or muscular men or men that are fit. And I laugh and I said, wow.
And that's, and I always tell women, I'm not telling you who to be attracted to. The thing is, one, can you attract them? Two, can you keep them? Three, I can give you the solutions so you have a better chance. But if
Uh-huh.
you don't want to hear that and you don't want to put in the work, you're delusional.
Yes.
I
And
don't
I
want to
leave it
hear.
at that. You're delusional because it's like me wanting to, I don't know, whoever the hottest girl is socially right now, just coming out of the blue, expecting her to just want me, and I haven't accomplished what her peers of men that she's into have accomplished.
Uh-huh.
I'm crazy. I'm delusional.
Mm-hmm.
Even I may even be able to get a one night stand with her, but can I keep her?
Exactly. And that's the but this thing one thing about black people, not just males or females, just all of us as a collective, we're comfortable in our delusion.
Yes.
We are extremely comfortable in our delusions, like a cold winter night where you have the fire going or the heat on and you have a nice quilt on and you just get comfortable in it. And you could see all on the outside chaos is going and you know it's like hell on earth, but you're comfortable in your delusion. And only time when that delusion gets kind of broken down is when you have situations like George Floyd happens, or situations where you have to deal with political and social situations where it's showing you, oh, we got to do this. This is what's happening.
And
And
it's too
also,
late.
yeah, but then also you get mad when you realize, well, why can't I find a mate, or why? What? And getting back to what you guys were talking about, children, like like Nicole, you were when you were growing up, you had the luxury of critical thinking and learning because you had educators in your family, and your mother and father made sure that was an important integral thing. But also on the back end, you also had home training. But here's another thing. You also knew what it is to be a good person, but also you knew what it is to be a wife, and also you knew what it is to be a mother.
Mm-hmm.
You get some of these women today, they might just have one or the two out of those things. A mother is only going to teach you how to have a good education and teach you just how to take care of yourself. A lot of women are teaching their daughters how to be good wives and mothers because they haven't had it.
That's
They have
right.
an idea. And same thing with brothers. They don't know how to be good people. They don't know how to be men. They don't know how to be good fathers. They don't know how to be good husbands. A lot of times, we just winging it. A lot of times we just break open a fortune cookie and hopefully we can get the instructions from that to do that because we're a broken society. We're a broken
Correct.
people.
Correct.
That's why women like Nicole and Kendra are outliers because they're
Yes.
teaching femininity from their own perspective, but at the same time, they are women that are not afraid to speak on it. They're not women not afraid to talk about the profession. You see, Nicole's hitting different things because she's just not talking about femininity. She's educating us first about science, health, and everything. Everything that came down with this COVID, she was on point, telling everybody, breaking stuff down. And also, she comes in from a scientific approach of dealing from a social structure. But then at the same time, she's talking about how the way our relationships is as Black people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This stuff
And
going on. This COVID ain't gonna stop, man.
Oh yeah.
It ain't stopping. We gotta, at the and not only COVID, but because of the changes that are occurring in society. I mean, obviously, we live in a liberal society. I mean, you can't even tell people to put their mask on without getting hemmed up about it. But that's gonna all this stuff is gonna affect you. Like I said, trials next year won't be finished
mhm.
for vaccinations. And I have people asking me, okay, the trial's not gonna be done until September 2021. Are we gonna get the vaccine October 2021? Are you crazy? Like what? You
Te-
Hey,
think
but
test
Nicole,
trials.
Nicole,
trial in
Nicole,
September and they give you the shot in October? Where they do that at?
Nicole, they're running a lot of experiments now. Negroes are falling, right? To say, will you
You
willing
said
to take
what?
the test?
I can't hear you that good. What'd you say?
You hear me good? That sound clear? I
Turn
said I've been hearing that certain schools, if people want to get tested, I mean, well, not tested, get tried for this so-called vaccine. And I hear it's mostly marketing to our people. And I'm thinking, say, Well, how the hell they going to start?
They can't do trials on students
Yeah.
in a charter school. Like, they, yeah. I don't think you laughing. I don't think that's the case, Chaos Rain. I have to look at it. If you have a link or something, I'll look at it. See, I'm not letting you in here.
I gotta find these links.
In the
I
chat.
can't do it now. I'm on my phone, but I was gonna click on it, but I said, man, they must be joking, man, because they still, if they're gonna be testing on human beings, normally would be the first trial be animals before. Well, I'm not sure if humans and animals are different before they start
Yeah.
actually testing live people and people that's going and getting suckered. I'm hoping this is some little fake news. That's what you're hoping, but I gotta find
Well,
the article and share it.
with that, I would just look first and foremost. I would just look at the policies and the laws about how things are supposed to.
Right. How some people do it.
Exactly. That's where I would root that in. Not to say that some people aren't gonna do crazy stuff. That
Hmm.
of course we're humans. Some people gonna do it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, hell no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, in our environment. But to also touch on what Nicole was saying, well, a lot of people don't realize with this COVID, we are literally, and I already knew this before COVID, but COVID has accelerated one of the greatest wealth transfers we've ever seen, and is happening now in this in the world. Forget about just America, in the world. And if we aren't capturing that, we have no leverage. We have no leverage financially. We have no leverage when it comes to politics and policies. We have no leverage socially. So what do you think is going to happen in the next couple of years?
You're gonna be, our people gonna be way more behind. They're not behind already.
And I'm in finance, so I'm telling y'all right now. I see when I say I see stuff, I see stuff.
Right.
Who's this?
That's
That's
why,
talking.
and that's one reason why, when you email me and stuff, and you have things to say in the chat and stuff, I'm really, hoping like, okay, what does this mean financially on the economic stage, and or if someone's talking about economics, do you think that something that they're saying is right, or do you need to look at it more? And that's why I'm glad that you get your perspective on what's going on based on your field, because that's not my field. Even if I did look at finances, it would not be in the comprehensive way that you look at finances. I'm looking at finances from, for instance, a defense budget standpoint, because a lot of defense projects and defense budget, or even Homeland Security budget, that goes in with science and technology development, and things that they're doing with robotics or biometrics.
Yep.
All of that feeds in through defense. That feeds in through, of course, through Congress, and that feeds into NIH, Department of Defense, Department of Energy, Homeland Security. You can go on down the list. Lockheed Martin, Northrop, all these different companies. All of that feeds in, and so I know that side with the tech. But as far as the other side that you're talking with, not even the other side, but the whole thing, and I'm sure you look into like international finance too. So yeah, that's me.
I literally live within 2 miles from all those defense companies you just named. I live within 2 miles from them. Okay, live.
Mm-hmm.
2, Warren Buffett, who's been bad mouthing, negatively talking about gold for decades. What did Warren Buffett recently just do? He just purchased a gold company, mining company. Why would Warren Buffett, who's 92, 93 years old, do that all of a sudden?
Actually, Warren Buffett just turned 90 this year.
90 years old. Why would he do that after for decades saying it's a relic, it doesn't add any value, there's no cash flow? Why would
I can
he
give
do
you an
that?
answer why. Because we don't listen to what people say. We go by what they're doing.
That's right.
But you see, you're a man that's been financed for like how long? 10, 20 years, brother?
Yeah, over 10 years.
All right. Now, I'm not a finance person, but I follow it sometimes periodically. I need to follow more. That the people that are snatched the most greatest wealth, people are listening to these experts. But I say, oh, that sounds good. But what really you do behind the scenes? Because you just tell me what I want to hear to capitalize off of me.
When it comes to money or finances, let me tell y'all something. People think the wise and the smart people, they don't care what race you are, what religion you are. If you have sense and you're talking facts, they're gonna freaking listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Period. Now, when we come to our community, I'm coming, giving them information that millionaires and billionaires, and I'm talking about accounts that come to my desk. So this is not me just reading books and looking at articles, which I do, but I'm looking at their financials. I see
Mm-hmm.
what they're
Right.
doing, and I'm telling you how to do it. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to listen? Okay, don't complain the next 5 to 10 years. That's why I tell people. I tell even my family members that. Many of them, and the majority of them have college degrees, high college degrees. I tell them, don't come crying to me because I already told you. Because I told you this type of person's financials came through. I literally have. I ain't gonna say his name, but he's a starter on the Bucks. I saw his financials. Okay, I saw
Yeah.
his financials. So I'm not talking out my. I
You
know
know,
what
so
I'm
much
talking
as I
about.
know. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, I wanted to. It's important for us to see that. That's why I put shout out to Life of King Wage and also Salchih and many other people that talk about finances. Dollar Will, you got Rethinking the Dollar. A lot of people that talk about finances, talk about economics, and really go into detail about it. And I listen to a lot of this stuff because I need to know, going forward. If I just talked earlier about potentially changing up how I move professionally. If I want to give back, there are trade-offs to everything you do. You make a transition, you're going to probably take some hits, take some losses here and there, but I need to be prepared for that and set myself up so that I can leverage it better, going forward, and everything. People out here getting promotions, people out here getting, all kinds of contracts and things done, and just in my field. And I'm like, okay, I need to get in on that money. So that's what I'm doing. But I also want to
Get that money, Nicole. Get that
to
dollar bill. Money, money,
NC
money,
Worker,
money.
because I see NC Worker, you've been here for a minute, chilling up here on the stream. Caesar as well. We'll get to you as well. NC Worker, do you have anything you want to add to the conversation? Or
He's
Caesar?
muted. NC
Oh,
Worker's
NC
muted.
Worker, you're muted right now.
I'm gonna put myself on mute for a second.
Mm-hmm. NC Worker or Caesar, y'all got anything y'all want to say? Caesar, you've been coming back and forth, back and forth. I think maybe your signal is a little bit, you know, having given you some trouble. I'm gonna remove you real quick, just in case you need to figure that out. But NC Worker, I know that you have been on other people's streams, and you were talking really, really good stuff. I think it was Roger Report talking to Black Uru, so that was cool. But if you want to say something that's cool, you can just jump in. Y'all go ahead and say what you got to say. Oh, Chaos. I think Chaos left and Caesar. They may be having some problems with their signal.
Yeah.
But yeah, Salchi, whatever you were about to say. My bad for cutting you off.
Yeah, that's all right. It's your stream. Yeah, and for me, the reason why, of course, I'm a very logical person. So when I look at the finances, it's easier for me to figure stuff out, to figure out where the direction and the types of decision people are most likely going to take.
Uh,
It's to the extreme with me that I'm literally studying to get my license to do taxes just so I can really, get the game down to the core. Because again, policy moves everything, and Congress gives the IRS the power, and then the
mm,
IRS they're the ones who write the codes. So
yeah.
what do wealthy and smart and wise rich people do? They get the professionals who know these things
Mm,
so they can get the best deals.
yes.
Period. And I
Mm,
always tell people, bare minimum, and a lot of people get upset when I say this, especially when I say this to men, especially black men. I say, if you really want to get in the game, bare minimum, you need to be making $200,000 a year minimum, because that puts you in accredited investor status. You need to be making that. Then that opens the door for you to legally start getting into stuff. That's the floor. And a lot of people think that's crazy. I'm like, dude, I see people making that all the time in their 20s and 30s. I guess I'm fortunate to see this stuff, but I see it quite regularly. That is so normal to me. Even right now during COVID, I see it all the time. That's where you need to be. Or else you can't even, I'm telling you, you're not even going to be in the room. You're not even going to be in the lobby. Because you quite literally can't even afford to get in these deals. And then if you don't have any expertise, these guys don't even go listen to you because you don't bring anything to the table.
Right, you have to bring some. You have to put some, bring something to the table as far that you can leverage with. You have to have some skin in the game, and if you come with that and you have a good rapport and investment history and all that, it makes more sense. But there's one thing. It's I call it the other POC because we hear POC, we think people of color, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially now during election season. But what you're talking about essentially is POC for my profession, which is proof of concept.
Yep.
You have to prove that you're supposed to be here because you're saying
mm-hmm.
you don't come with that prerequisite. And that's the issue I have here. A lot of spaces is that there's no prerequisites for a lot of discussions that are had. Like this, you just come in, people act a fool and just act a monkey all the whole time and just tear everything up.
Yes.
But just act a monkey like all day and tear everything up. But it's like you have to have prerequisite. You have to say, okay, how do you get into this class? Like BGS said once, he was like, what are the prerequisites that say you have to have this class in order to take this class, the next step? And what you're saying is proof of concept. You have to prove yourself, show yourself approved to move forward. And that's absolutely necessary. If that's the minimum, you get that minimum and you move up. And now you can get into the rooms where, you make enough money, you can potentially, and I may be stretching this, but you may potentially, support a candidate for political office. You put people in your pocket, put money in your pocket, then start
Mm-hmm.
putting people in your pocket if necessary.
That is the game. And people don't want to hear it or don't want to believe it. That's the game. Okay?
Yeah.
And they want to say, oh, you're being shallow. Well, first and foremost, for you to make money, you have to solve problems. You have to solve other people's problems.
Right.
So if that's being shallow, I'm a shallow mother effer. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm solving other people's problems. Now, if I'm solving more complex problems, well, of course, there are
Yeah.
less people that can solve it. So, yes, I'm going to make more money. Now, how am I going to disperse my money? Who am I going to surround myself with? That is chess. And
Yeah.
that's what those guys and women up top or really up top, that's what they're really doing. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why people don't see it or understand it is because you're not in their space, quite literally. So you don't even understand how they're moving. They can be passing right by you. You won't even recognize them. You would have no idea.
Yeah.
No clue. And I'm
Yeah.
telling
You
you,
have to think there. Mm-hmm.
I've sat down with millionaires and billionaires. And remember, same hue as everybody on this panel.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them were not black. And they're giving me the business. And because of the way I present myself, the way I talk, and I'm real, the vast majority of them thought I graduated from Ivy League. And I got to tell them, nah, I dropped out because I had my own little business, blah, 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 blah. And they're looking at me like, then they get it. And then they really start opening up. We start talking about
Right.
books. We start talking about articles. You will be surprised. Many of them are not who you think they are. I'm telling you. They
Yeah.
tell you the business.
I mean, you're absolutely right. And that's another topic too, because a lot of people think like we're on here and a lot of us have not been around people like that. But a lot of the people that you're talking about, like they're regular people, there are a lot of
Yes.
them, and that's the sell though. This is the contradiction though. That's the sell. They have to have that image because they
Yes.
have image consultants, public relations people, and all that kind
That's
of
right.
stuff. sales, promotions people. So
That's
they have
right.
to have that image. You have to sell that image and always be closing when you're doing that.
Hmm.
But when you meet them one-on-one by themselves at a conference, or maybe they were the keynote speaker at a lecture series that you were invited to. And some of these series that a lot of us go to, it's not open to the public. It's
That's
a
right.
invitation only type thing.
That's right.
And usually the rule of thumb is invitation only means you're going
Yes.
to some resort way out in the middle of,
Yes.
nowhere. And it's 50 or less people there, and you get to literally talk to somebody who makes more money than you could ever imagine. You're like, wow, where this person come from? They just regular people. They sitting here drinking a Budweiser.
Ex-
Like,
e- e- ex- exactly.
and you're
That's
like, chopping it up with them about I'm chopping it up about, some of the work that I want to do. And, the first thing they ask is like, okay, well, how'd you get here? What great idea do you have, to share with me? And, you tell them, you just talk to them.
hmm
Most of them are like grandfathers or uncles or type
that's
of
right.
person
Hmm.
that just they want to sit somewhere and where there's a fireplace and they can have their little drink or something. Have
That's right.
a little
Yes.
drink. And some of them they they cuss a lot, and you be like, God dang, dude, like,
Oh
ain't you
yeah.
ain't you this on TV? And they're like, nah, this is me. And so, you know what,
Exactly.
when you tie this back into the the topic that we're discussing, the Black mental health thing, it is like when we're talking about self-esteem, self-awareness, and self-improvement, like if you are authentic, if you're yourself, you
That's
worked
right.
hard, you're successful in your field, and you know what you're doing. You have, see, the reason why they drew to you is because you had a goal, and you were like, I'm going out on my own and I'm gonna get this done, by any means necessary. That is they have attractive pull for people who are already, millionaires, billionaires, and whatnot, who already are very
Yes.
successful, because they don't see money the same way poor people see money. They see it as a tool to get where they need to be, but they
That's
don't
right.
see it as like, I'm so desperate, I need it. And
That's right.
they see that. And even in that sense, there's, mental health to be looked at, because you could be in that room, and I've seen people that are so nervous they dropping their glass, they dropping their napkin, like they
Yes.
spilling their wine and stuff, and I'm just like, what's going
The-
on here?
the-
It's exposure. It's just, the
the-
need to have exposure to different environments and different
that's right.
contexts and different people. That's very important.
They go through. They have communicated with so many different types of people on
Hmm.
the social level. They're so far ahead. They notice ticks just they're not even really looking for it. It's just natural to them. So they have a good idea where you're at because they've interacted with so many different types of people. And the other thing is, I can tell you right now, their biggest challenge in life. I'm telling y'all, this is write this down. There's only two. Let me tell you,
Hmm.
people somebody they can trust, and someone who's competent. Those are their two biggest issues in life. That's it. I've been hearing it so many times in so many different ways from them. Now that I just say it to them, and they're like, "Yes, yes, thank you."
Yeah, see, that trust thing is real.
It's big.
Is big. And see, the confidence goes in with the and that was the word I was trying to think of the other day when I was ranting. Competent. I said capable, but I was like, I'm looking for the word. Competent was the word. But
Yes.
shout out to you for saying that. But when you're competent, that's your proof of concept.
Hmm.
You're showing that you can do the work, and you're doing the work, because within that competence comes something that a lot of us don't really think of. It just happens naturally, is initiative, taking the initiative to get something done, meaning that you got the work done before the person that, like your supervisor or the person that your client, before they even you're solving a problem before they even asked for you to
That's
solve it,
that's
before they
right.
even thought to come to you and say, you know what, we have this other issue. I know you're working on this. We have this other issue. So you're not spreading yourself too thin, but you know how to multitask. And taking care of yourself mentally in that is very important too. When you're multitasking, remembering to do what you're doing. And that's why when you're talking about nutrition, you're talking about the exercise and the diet and all that stuff, very important. And that right there with the diet and the exercising and everything, you don't know how far that can take you. Just knowing certain foods and certain drinks and knowing like certain exotic drinks that they have that you probably never heard of. You're like, okay, but exposing yourself to a lot of different things is important, like in that competence, because at some point, if you do enough for a client, um, you're meeting with them like face to face, you're flying here. I had to do it, fly different places because you want to get this license in, you want to get things done,
Mm-hmm.
you want to get things registered on time. And then you're flying here, you're flying there, and you're being driven around because you don't have the time to be driving yourself.
That's right.
And they expect you to have like a presentation, 50 slides, ready to go. And like in the middle of it, if they ask you a question like, oh, well, what does this mean? You have to be able to be flexible.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that go into it, and this is why I want to, mentor and teach the younger students coming up, because this is the world that they're going to be going into, the world that you're talking about, the world I'm talking about, and other people have experienced, and that trust that's there, being a open, honest person, even if you screwed up, admitting your fault.
Oh yeah.
Like we didn't really, as long as admitting that fault leads you to increase quality in the product or your service that you're providing, like, and you can get assistance with that. If you want to limit the amount of times that you are um revealing that there was an issue with that, and never reveal issues that you have with a person per se, but
Yes.
with a process that's occurring.
Yes.
Let your client figure out, or your manager or supervisor, let them try to figure out who it is. But the process is what you'll say, well, we have an issue with this process, or with this step of the experiment, or this step of the project, and I just want to bring it to your attention. So our deadline for this Friday, today is Sunday. This Friday we have a deadline. We're supposed to have 48 slides for you, and we're supposed to have 18 pieces of data. We might have around 16 pieces of data. I'm just letting you know that in this quick video chat so you won't be surprised. And they're like, okay, I appreciate that. Well, who did it? Well, I think it's better to focus on, the step that we're at right now. We're making good progress. We just need to probably figure out a better method here. Let them figure out who did it. Like,
Yeah.
let them
Exactly.
figure out sometimes, like who did it. I ain't about to tell you who did what and where, because you never know. You
And
might need that person next
that's
time.
right. And that's called situational awareness. That's
Hey.
also called game theory. That's
Mm-hmm.
a real thing. There are books on there. I own a couple game theory books. Like this stuff is like a lot. I don't know what it is. Like I don't know why black folks don't want to read. I really don't, because this stuff it's not a game. Like
Mm-hmm.
especially the higher up you go, it's things are very little subtle things can open or close doors.
Yes.
And it's just not. And we're just not talking about you by yourself. For you and your family,
Yeah.
for you and your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what frustrates me when I see all the bickering that goes on. I'm like, y'all not looking at it as a whole. Everybody, there's too many Indian chiefs. Y'all need to relax. Okay? Like, if you stay with your strengths. Like, okay, we got Kevin Samuels for that. BGS he's an anomaly, okay? We're gonna call BGS an anomaly. But he brings everybody together. Okay? You're in the sciences.
Uh,
Dr. Dunbar, he's in the sciences. Tommy Curry,
yeah.
PhD.
Yes.
Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, PhD. What are we doing? Like, we have these sources now, even though we haven't met each other.
Right.
And what are we bickering? Like, to me, why are we wasting time bickering about nonsense when we
Mm-hmm.
got COVID, when stuff is changing rapidly,
Yeah.
AI, like, we ain't got time for this, literally. We ain't got time for this. Like, as
You're
far as
right.
I can see it. I ain't got
Mhm.
I must keep my health up, but make sure I'm on top of everything. I'm, let my little child, my family, hey, this is the information. Do what y'all want to do with it, and then surround myself with people who, for me, I don't have a problem being around people who are wiser, smarter, more gifted, whatever. I don't have a problem.
Yeah. I have no problem being around people like that who are
No
wiser,
problem.
smarter, more gifted than I am. Because I'm in those environments all the time. Like y'all think, I'm one way, like, oh, Nicole, like they, queen of science and scientist supreme and all that. Like I appreciate that. I'm flattered by that, humble. But, I'm in rooms where people like, they have way more experience than I do. And who do you think I learned from? I did this thing come to me on my own. Like I had to be vulnerable. I had to be patient with myself. I had to learn these concepts. I had to learn what I'm supposed to be doing, and somebody taught them. So that's why I got the idea, like transitioning into more of an educator, which I've been educating people for a while, because once you start in this field, you educate people. You're mentoring somebody. You're
Yeah.
somebody shadowing you. You're training people, and that's business. Some people, they get a lot out of what you've done as far as training them, and some people don't get anything out of what you've done when you train them. But
Yeah.
that's the roll of the dice, and that's the business, the essence of that as a business. Where you're helping somebody, maybe they don't have they weren't in the right mindset to gain any information from you, and that's fine. But I feel like you know what you're saying is absolutely true. Like it's important. Like when you think about with the game theory, and you're looking at and I haven't watched many of Kevin's streams, all the way through, but when I hear people speak about that, I'm like, okay, a lot of the women have things they need to discuss, perhaps with a therapist, or with a counselor if they can. They have a lot of work to do. The issue is not the fact
The
they have.
women need a lot of work, a whole hell lot of work, a whole
Yeah,
lot.
the issue is that the issue to
Mhm.
me is not that they have work to do. Everyone has work to do. The issue to me is
Oh
that,
yeah.
like I was saying earlier, is that the timing, you know. So take a lesson from that, young women, is the timing that the women are choosing to speak with him about these issues kind of tells you
And
they
it's
have
sad.
problems. They know they're later in life, where even if they were to make a change or take Kevin's suggestions, physiologically, it may not be possible for them. And the best thing
Correct.
to do is help
And that's
others.
the very.
Why is that, Nicole? Why is that?
So
In your mind,
you said what?
why is that? If I may ask, why is that? Why is that?
Um, why are they not
Like
why are
it's too late. Like
No,
for
because what Salchih was talking about earlier with the progesterone and estrogen, and what I was mentioning from BGS's video, and this is published all over the world in different populations of women. As women age, their testosterone actually goes up, the estrogen goes down, progesterone, it kind of fluctuates, but it is in an uptrend usually, and so and then in a downtrend as they are aging. So as these women are aging, even if they wanted to change their behavior, they're biologically, by the hormone imbalance that's occurring. It's a natural imbalance, but it's still an balance nonetheless.
Yes.
They would not be able to change that. Plus, you add on not just the biological changes that are occurring as a woman ages, but the cultural indoctrination that they've been living with for 40 plus years. How are you going to? Only thing a woman that age can do in her 40s, going into her 50s, is to teach what he's teaching them to younger women, and try to save younger women if they
Correct.
can, because your time as an older woman, and then you can't even have a conversation with someone like Kevin who's trying to help you, and he looking like, all right, ma'am. Shout out to Edward Anderson, because he kills me when he be talking. Edward was like, ma'am, how old are you? I'm
okay,
a,
I get it
how old
now.
are you? He was like, we're gonna pray for you. Then he, like I said, he start playing taps. I'm like, I'm done.
Nicole, I'm gonna try to be clear because I'm on Bluetooth. I think I follow you. I get it now. And a lot of women, or this message might resonate to them. A lot will not try to teach other young women to do what they have not done because
Mm.
misery loves company at the end of the day. That's how I see it.
NC Worker, did you have yeah, that's a true statement right there, Chaos. NC Worker, did you have something you want to say? I saw you had unmuted for a quick second.
Yes, thank you for allowing me on your panel, and hello everyone to the on the panel
Hey.
and to the chat. Um, yeah. Also, too, we especially as Black people, there's a lot of taboo when it comes down to getting emotional and psychological health
Yeah.
help, and it's this whole taboo that if you go see a doctor or therapist, something's wrong with you, which to some extent, yes, there may be something wrong with you, but it's not in the case as far as something is wrong with you as if you need to go to a psych ward with
Right.
some.
Right.
And a lot of times that had been pushed in the black community so much that we now act so irrational on both sides, whether it's man or woman. And we now at the point of this dysfunction that now the dysfunction has become the normality. It's expected, as a matter of fact. And if you're not putting a woman or a man through ups and downs or this emotional roller coaster, then something is wrong with you because stability is not the morale is not normal anymore. It's looked at as being boring, it's looked at as being you're not fun or exciting. And that's on both sides. And it has been very detrimental. And it has really held black people back mentally, emotionally, and even in some cases also possibly, if you believe, spiritually.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's what we were saying earlier, that you have to look at things. Salchie said you have to look at things holistically, physically, spiritually, mentally. Yes. And like it's like a split. Our brains are split. And I mentioned that too. Like even for me day to day, sometimes I feel like it's a split, like a split behavior and split thought process that have to decompress like almost every day. And some people are not able to handle that. They're not able to compartmentalize what's going on around them in their environment. Biologically, we have the ability to do that, mentally, but it's a strain. It puts a strain on people. And asking for help is not, there's nothing wrong with that. What's going on, Adrian? Asking for help, that was my whole thing, asking for help. Are you vulnerable enough? Are you ready to ask for someone to help you? And at the end of that, like, and I think we were going to that a little bit, Salchi, and you mentioned it too, and see, was, can you see the light at the end of the tunnel? Can you see the positive that's coming? Like, can you get there? Do you know
Yes.
what's necessary? And
Hmm.
some people don't. Like, some people are very sensitive, and that's why I'm not like Lizzo. I wasn't making fun of her, but just everybody needs constructive criticism once in a while. Like, them
Yeah.
cancer, and you need to stop. So, back when we were younger, because right now, and that leads to a lot of other discussions we could have, but right now, like, people are so freaking sensitive. Like, they popping off and all this stuff. And I'm like, calm your ass down. Just take some constructive criticism, deal with that and be like, okay, I need to work on that. Go inside yourself, which people not don't want to do because it's ugly in
Correct.
there. Go
Right.
inside yourself, see what's in there, clean out some cobwebs, do some mopping and dusting, and come back out and be like, you know what? This is how I feel. This is what I'm gonna do. Um, and live your life to the fullest in the best way you can. But people are out here in a healthy way, But people out here just going off and no, that's not the way you do anything, because you're gonna look back on your life and be like, why did I do all that?
They,
But go ahead, my bad.
they, they're, many are living as if tomorrow's promise, and as
Mm,
if they have time. And then 5 years has gone by, and then 10, and then 20, then
mm,
30, 40 years, and then they want to look back. Oh shit! Oh, I should have taken care of X, Y, and Z And it's like, yeah. And you're older and you don't have the same energy and you may
Mhm.
not you may or may not be as attractive and blah 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 blah. You don't have the network.
Yeah.
Now the people who have been on their game the whole time, they're gonna look at you like, oh, well, the whole time they were probably avoiding you anyway, because it's like, what I'm saying, we can't trade anything. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So now, years later, decades later, it's like, and then you're in a real tough spot, and then you have accumulated so many different types of habits that are contrary to where you want to be. So you got to work on that before you can even really start moving. And then you have less time. Let's say you're going to live a long life. And people don't seem to, they don't really seem to get that part. So I always tell people, because people always ask me, how you so for your age and how you so smart and wise and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, let me give you another gem, how I cheat in life, because you really can't cheat much in life.
Right. You
I
can.
surround myself with people who are better than me. That's how I cheat. People who are older, wiser, better. Period. I ain't got a problem with that. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
learn faster. For me, it's a challenge. For me, that I know I love it. For me, most people can't handle it, but I'm gonna tell people the truth. That's how I do it. BGS says X, Y, and Z. I'm writing stuff down. I'm writing this. Oh shit, I didn't know that shit. How I should have known that shit. I'm writing all the books down, all this other stuff. When NikoleAli's talking about, she got an article up, put the article in, bookmark that. I'm gonna read that later, write it down. And most of the time, especially during the day, like I'm at work. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to write this down because I can't literally go on because I'm on my phone, so I can't go back
Yeah.
and forth. So I write it down, and I got so much shit open just from BGS alone. Now Nikole. So I already know what's gonna happen when Dr. Dunbar gets on
Mm-hmm.
with TSN with Dr. TSN Johnson talking. Same deal. That's what I do. I'm writing the stuff down, and I'm willing to put in the work. If you ain't willing to put in the work, I'm sorry, you're not gonna make it.
Yeah. See, that's the active learning and the active, that consciousness that you're using, where, and this ain't no hotel conscious stuff talk I'm about to do, but I'm saying, like, hotel triple darkness double threat, ain't nothing like that. But it's like, where you tactile learning. I'm a tactile visual learner. I have to see, and I have to write. And so, like, if I can't write, I have to literally be doing something with my hands, like, this is what I learned, like I'm clapping it out, like I'm doing
Yes.
something, for me, that's just how I have to do it. And even if somebody shows me how to do something in front of me, I have to be involved with that to learn. And you're not the only one. I'm reading and writing notes. When I hear these streams, sometimes I'm writing notes too. I'm in the clouds writing with my little pen,
Yep.
and everybody is, talking this and that. VGS, oh my God, like there's so much stuff on there. Nameless, he's like, we
Oh
gotta
yeah,
read,
nameless too.
fam. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yes, I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm trying. It's just so much. I'm with that set. It's a lot. And I have to do it in pieces. I have to read a little bit and then I come back to it after a break. That's just I guess my feminine way of absorbing the information as well. I have to go and think about what I read. The Black Brain Trust, they put stuff down. Even some of the females that have channels that talk about tech and coding and stuff. And
Oh
because
yeah.
I have to learn a lot of the coding in order to analyze my data right now, because the facilities that we would normally pay to analyze our data, people are not there because of this pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn a lot of the coding, a lot of the scripts, and some of the things that they do in order to analyze. They're like, okay, analyze your own shit. Like, well,
Yeah.
dang, I thought I was paying you, $10 and
Yeah.
$20 here, and then I mean,
You mean
well,
like JavaScript type like coding?
I'm paying you
You put
$10 an hour, and you're gonna be working for me for a month. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
calculate that. Okay, and but now I can't even do that. I'm like, so you say you're not even gonna take my money? And they're like, nah, we ain't taking your money. When they get to you, we're not gonna take your money. And you're like, And this is not their job. Like, this is a side thing. This
Exactly.
is people like $10. They ain't nothing. They ain't Nicole. You ain't nothing. That is something. They already getting paid almost 6 figures. I'm giving this extra. This comes out of my grants and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm paying extra as a consultant and collaborator. And you're saying, no, I don't. When they turn your money down, that's bad.
Yeah, I was about to
So I
say.
have to learn these other skills. I have to go out and take the initiative and be patient with myself as I go and learn these skills. But it's necessary, you know?
And that is exactly correct. And that's what a lot of in our community. That's what we need to understand, because outside the community, especially the top 10-ish%, maybe even 20% in many cases, that's what they do. This is what we need to do to move forward. This is what's going to happen. Who isn't going to do it? Y'all going to fall behind. And they're done with it. There's no arguments. They're gone. I mean, like, for real. Like, that's just the way it is. There's no discussion.
Right.
How's it going, Nicole?
Baby, how you doing?
What kind of scripting do you do?
I'm just learning it right now. I'm just learning it because there's a Illumina a platform that we use for genomics analysis.
Okay.
And they just sent me this booklet online. I have to read it. And I was like, I ain't trying to read this shit. Like, I don't want to read it.
That?
Huh?
How do you spell that?
Illumina is ILLUMINA. I put it in the chat.
Programmer.
Yeah, Illumina isn't a programming language. It's programming software. Illumina is the sequencing software and the devices that we use. But because they don't have like something that they don't have that they need to analyze our data, they were giving me everything like in these scripts. And so I have to go and try to figure out what it's saying and work with them on a video chat. And they're going to basically teach me how to analyze my own genomic data, because genomic data, you have like, it was a deep dive sequencing. So you're sequencing millions and millions of copies of genes and repeats and mutations. And like in the Illumina chip analysis that we do it's not easy. I didn't really appreciate what they did, what they would do, because they would finish stuff in like 2 days, and
Yeah.
I know it's going to take me like 2 weeks, you know, but I have to learn this because, you know, this could happen again where they're not around and I need to do this analysis and you know, sequence my own stuff and set it up. Like all I do, I really don't have I'm an end user for real, because I just grow the cells, do the treatment, give them the DNA or RNA, whatever they need, and they do everything. So I'm at a disadvantage, you know. So I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. One, put myself at an advantage where we won't need to pay them so much in the future or pay them at all. And two, they get credit for training somebody on how to use the different software and use the equipment. So we helping each other out.
So
Okay,
does that crunch basically it spits out what is it, the R, G, H's and all that other stuff? It's been a long time since I've taken a science class. I think, is it RGH? Is that what it is? The sequences that you actually see? The coding? Well, I mean, not in that order. I'm forgetting the exact letters that.
Oh, RNA?
I'm sorry?
You mean RNA?
Well, not the RNA. The coding itself for certain genes. I mean, I know this coding. I forget. It's been well over 10 years.
Yeah, the coding itself is the DNA, but there's genomic DNA that we do our analysis on. So Illumina chip sequencing is where you're looking at genomic DNA, and I need to see how genes are regulating each other after a treatment.
Okay.
So like methylation, genetics type of stuff. And so
how they're interacting with each other.
Huh?
How they're interacting with each other.
Yeah, how to interact with each other. And so I know that certain genes, and the reason why we're looking at genomic DNA is because, open DNA, like open reading frame DNA sequences, has proteins interacting with it. And I don't want to look at that kind of DNA. I want to look at the genomic DNA that's closed, that's regulating each other. Like one gene can regulate on one chromosome, can regulate a gene on another chromosome. So how does that work, and what is that? How is that affecting like a person who has this particular disease or something, or they're treated with this drug? Like that's what I want to do. But instead
Okay.
of doing like 1 to 1, you can do it like 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. Like how does one gene affect 100 other genes?
Wow.
So I
Mm,
cannot do that in
okay.
my lab by myself, but with the sequencing and the programming, you can do that, and you can see how these different genes are mutated, how they are spliced, how you might have thought it was this gene, gene A doing this, having this effect on a patient when actually it's gene A 1.2. So it's a variant of the gene A doing that, and you can't tell because you can't see mutations well, like with the technology that we have in our lab. But these other labs, like they just look at the genes. It's like the Matrix, like they're just looking at a screen of numbers and
Yes.
letters, and that's really all it is. And they're trying to figure out, piece things together. Like, oh, this is a mutation. This is that. This is that. And when it comes to me trying to learn the coding, I'm like, Psh, man, mm-mm. Like I'm sitting here like, what? Because and the reason why we need coding and stuff done is because I give them samples from human sources, and I give them samples from mouse sources. So you have to code it differently for each species. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
that
trying
makes
to
sense.
learn because I ain't know. I was like, I don't know how to do this stuff. Like, for me, I can learn how to code it easily for humans, but then you got to learn how to do it for human and mouse so you can switch back and forth. Otherwise, your data is not going to look right.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to help me with.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Wow.
True. No problem, NC worker.
Even though we're similar, that still makes sense because there are some differences.
Yeah. So it's not like the coding that I'm sure you're familiar with. It's a different type of I have to see what kind of language it is when I start reading through. But the coding, because yeah, you do coding yourself. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's something that I have to focus on. I don't like doing it, but I will. Because I know it needs to be. And whenever I do these things that are outside of my comfort zone, you know how I am
Mhm.
thinking like how I'm gonna get some money off of this. Like how am I gonna
I'm
get some
thinking that all the time too.
yeah.
It's a new skill
Hmm.
that requires some new money.
Oh yeah. Hey, there you go. You know what? That's exactly what we were saying. We were riding somewhere the other day, and I was like, "Well, you gonna learn this new task?" And he's like, "Yeah, I gotta learn this new task. Gotta get training." I said,
Hmm.
"So it's gonna be some money with that, or you gonna just do it just because?" It was like, "Why you always worry about the money?" I gotta worry about money. And like, is it because I was just like looking out the window? Is it gonna be some money? Or you gonna you gonna just do it just because you want to learn? Like,
Yeah. What we doing here? What we doing right
how
now?
are you gonna just do it because you want to learn something? Well, yeah,
Hmm.
of course there's gonna be money involved. Like, okay, oh, all right. How much?
Yeah.
How much? So
We
how
at the
much?
table right now.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie to you. To do coding, you kind of have to have a somewhat of a passion for it.
yeah,
Otherwise, you're not gonna let if you're in your feelings if you fail something, don't get into coding. I'm telling you
yeah,
right now.
It will drive you crazy.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
See,
you're
this
going to fail.
is
Get over it.
me. It's temporary for me for this project, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah, in general.
Yeah, my uncle, he's a coder for the government. I forget exactly what he does, but he got patience for it. My first
Yeah.
semester, because I initially I was gonna go into that. Man, I don't have the patience. I said I know I could do this, but this is gonna drive me crazy. I was out. I couldn't do it. I was out. It's gonna drive me crazy.
You have to have the mind for that, and you have to have the patience and the
Hmm.
consistency. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
correct
Yep.
me out.
Yeah.
You gotta know what your value types are. And it could be a multiple thing. Depends on how somebody set it up. It could be based on numbers. Can be based on strings. It's just a or letters, stuff like that. It can get very deep. Then
Hmm.
20,000 patterns that you could use to help with your programming. You got to know which one to pitch which one out and use it.
Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, the Illumina sequencing that we use, and well, let me not try to use the word Illumina too much because people will be like, "Oh, that's something with the devil or something."
Uh,
When I talk about Lucifer, people are like, "Oh, that's the devil, Lucifer." Like, no, no,
she part of the Illuminati.
I'm an Illuminati. Okay,
No shit.
that's the name of the machine, the Illumina. And when we
Hmm.
our data, they give us like, oh my god, they give us um one Excel document, but it has like 50 tabs at the bottom. I'm like, what the hell is this? I ain't give you all this. And they're like, well, you gave me four samples, but this is the data. I'm like, what? 50 tabs of data ain't nothing but numbers, and I'm like, oh my god. And the first tab says Illumina, and they give me all the data. And this is usually like patient data or something. And I'm looking through
Hmm.
it. So once I got used to them telling me what it was, I said, I need to take the initiative and try to learn this on my own. And because that invoice was getting on my nerves. That invoice every month, I was like, y'all are charging me way too much. What you charging me for? Why you charging me for this? I gotta pay this. I didn't want to have to
Yep.
pay that all the time. So that's the main thing. I don't want to have to pay them, and I need to learn something that I will be able to use and give to other people, younger people that are coming up.
Hmm.
Yeah. But what did you think about our conversation earlier, AB? If you had a chance to listen to it.
I didn't really get a chance. I was working on something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, I hope that everybody enjoyed this. We have to do,
I'll listen to playback though.
yeah, of course. Yeah, that's no problem. Because we were talking about Black mental health, and I hope that we went into a lot of different things because this was streamed, so it's not.
Important, very important.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad that since we had the time to come here, don't worry about being late. That's not a problem. I know everybody got things going on. I
Hmm.
got imminent weather alerts on my phone popping up because of these fires and stuff around here.
Oh yeah, you got some serious stuff going on over there.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, we got fires
Yeah, they
running.
talking about you. They can see the smoke all the way from New York. I was like, damn.
Yeah, it's a lot of smoke out here. I mean, they uh, certain
Is it
areas.
really orange like that? I heard the sky is like orange.
No, it's not. Well, early in the morning, it is. It's like that, and late in the evening.
Oh
But during
wow.
the day, it's okay. It's just like out the window, you can see the difference between the smoke and the clouds. There's a huge difference, and when you're in like a valley area, you're looking up to
Yeah.
hills and stuff like the Silmar, Panorama City area, like North Hollywood area. Even going towards like Pasadena, Altadena, you can see it's really bad. La Cañada, I was up there yesterday, and
Wow.
people that are in Big Bear, they were just like, "Wow, this is crazy." You can see because there's three different fires. The main one, the what is it called? Bobcat fire is bad because it's in the Angeles National Forest, and I was like, man, yeah, not a lot of people live there apparently, but it's still, it's still not good. And the other two, like the El Dorado fire is bad, and there's another one that's a little smaller. But we're okay, and people out here, they just like roll with the punches.
Yeah.
It does affect you mentally because you have to stay ready, so you won't have to get ready. And if they come to your door and say you have to evacuate, well, that's you'll be ready to go, hopefully.
Mhm.
Anybody out there who's dealing with it, please be safe. Continue to wear your mask because of the smoke. Don't try to drive into an area where there's a lot of fire. That's not smart
Yeah.
to do that. But I appreciate y'all.
People that hard headed? Wow. Mm-mm.
Huh?
People are that hard headed?
Yes. Now you know, AB. Come on now.
Yeah.
You know, people out here. I saw a little boy. I think I said it once. He was standing there on the side of the street. I'm waiting to cross with his mom. He got a cup and he had his mask on with a straw. And had the cup with the straw in it. And she was like, "Don't drink that until we get across the street. He's gonna poke the straw through his mask."
Oh dear.
He looked at her like, "Woman, please." Boop. He poked the straw right through his mask. He said, there, drink it. I was like, boy. I looked down, I was like, boy, what is wrong with you? She's like, oh my God. She threw the cup and grabbed him, took the mask off, put her mask on him. I was like, oh Lord. He was like, I wanted that drink.
Well, he ain't thinking about the safety, he's thinking about that drink.
Yeah. And he didn't take the mask off. What's the problem?
He said he did exactly what he said. Don't take your mask off. She's like, "No, we're gonna get you a drink. Get over there. We're gonna get you a drink." He was like, "Ever please, whatever."
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it. He just went boom. I was like, "That's a scientist right there." He just stuck it in there. Like, I'm gonna try this out and see if it works. But people out here got their kids. They got the mask.
Another thing with coding, you kind of do have to be a scientist. Like you have to experiment. Don't just look at the examples. Don't get stuck on examples. Sometimes you got to experiment and try different variables and stuff to make stuff work.
And how effective is that with coding? Because like if you're
very effective if you know what you're doing.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Because if you're building something from the ground up,
that's another thing. Depending on what you're working in, it doesn't hurt to use a framework. There's no shame in using a framework because stuff can get very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like building an operating system, that stuff gets very complicated. Just building a website can be very complicated when you talk about the security, keeping your site safe from hackers and stuff like that can get very complicated.
Yeah, because it's building upon itself, getting more and more detailed. Yeah. I would think that would be the case, but wow. That's something that who was talking about that? I think Bishop was talking about some of that yesterday on his stream. He was mentioning somebody else's channel where they talked about like how to keep yourself secure from like cyber hacking and
all
that. He talked about that a little bit, and I appreciated that. But I'm about to shut.
Eight characters or more in your password. It might be more than that now, depending, because they got machines online where it doesn't. You can type it 6 characters in, and they can hack you. They can hack your password.
Wow.
They're not. You gotta understand. They're using programs to hack your password. They're not. They're not trying to figure it out themselves. They're using they're using coding, and they're probably trying to guess your characters.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why when you get in security, we talk about hash coding, mixing characters up, and even like when you're typing to a database or something. When we there's even talk when you put your password in the database, it's totally different from what you typed in. It's like a hash code. If you don't know how to hash it out, it gets deep.
It's like math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can get very deep.
Well, that's something you have to talk about on your channel or on one of these channels when they have these streams about it, AB, because that's something that those types of things we really know because we're going into more digital landscape now.
Yeah, that's true.
People are using more applications to do what they need to do, just basic stuff about that. What's going on, Anastasis? And I mean, if you want to have it here on my channel, and talk about it, that's fine. I want to get your subs up as well. I want people to know what each of us is doing and people have interest in specific things, they can go to that person. Like that's what I'm looking to do here. But yeah, y'all go, and I know you put your channel in there. Put that link in there as many times as you want. Like, go for it. I hear I hear the little kids in there. I hear the kids in there. They rumbling.
Uh-oh.
They don't knock on the door every time. It's like, hello, hello.
Ready.
I did earlier.
It's that time.
I was like, I'm about to do something. They're like, oh, okay. Like they want to come. They out, and I'm doing something. When I ain't doing nothing, nobody wants to be around me. But when I start doing something in here, I'm crafting or doing what I'm doing. Then everybody want to come lay on the bed and just be
That's
all
how it works sometimes. You start to
where
do something
all
and
in
then
the chairs laid out, got their little socks on the floor, just opening, closing blinds and hanging pictures on the wall. I'm like, what is all this? I just want to be in here. Like, okay,
Mhm.
but it is what it is,
yeah, kids are natural explorers, especially
huh?
when they're kids are natural explorers, especially when they're young. I expect them to do that.
Oh yeah.
You just gotta keep an eye on them.
It's funny to me. That's what I'm saying. Why I'm saying it. It's just funny to me. But when I'm not doing anything, they just be like, okay, she ain't doing nothing. I ain't gonna go in there. Like when I'm doing stuff, it's like when I'm not doing it, I want you to come in here. You're just like, nah, I'm good. They walk off.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm doing something, like, hey, let me get involved too. See something new. And so it's cool. It is what it is. It's just it makes me laugh sometimes.
Yeah.
hmm But I think that Art New Style, I think he's live. I have to check first because I was gonna go see what was up
Oh,
for
is
the
he
book.
doing another swoop by the door thing?
I think so, and I
Oh.
and I had this planned as well. With Salchih, I was like, I have to do what I got to do here as well.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I can. I can't find it, but anyway, y'all, whatever y'all want to say, I'm gonna be on here like 10 more minutes. I'll put the link in the chat if anybody else wants to holler at me real quick.
Yeah, I'm about to drop off. I'll catch you later.
Okay. Thank you, AB, for stopping by. I appreciate
No
everybody else.
problem.
3. It's no problem. Y'all have a good evening. If you want to say any last words, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah. It was a good stream. I appreciate your time. I just leave y'all with um 5 books. I think basics that had to do with the topic today. Two of the books. They're both the author is Yao Morris, Awakening the Master Masculine and Awakening the Master Feminine. I think those are very pivotal, especially for Black folks. Um, Money Issues in Black Male Female Relationships by George Sabora. I can never pronounce his last name correct. Next one is Crisis in Black Sexual Politics, and this is by a couple. They're black and PhDs, Nathan Hare and Julia Hare. And the last one is The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. That's his latest book. So I think that really touches on uh, personal relationship with yourself and, of course, relationship with other Black folks.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for those book titles. If you want, you can also copy paste them, the titles into the chat or the comment section, whatever you prefer. But people that are listening, please go back and rewind. Don't be upset. Just rewind and slow down the speed of the video playback at this part, so you can catch those titles and everything. Thank you so much for being here, everybody in the chat, Salchih as well. I hope to see you all again soon. The next video I want to put out will be something about me embracing the animus part of me as a woman, and I hope that you all can join me. I'm, in either in the live chat or in the comment section if it is a pre-recorded video. As always, y'all be good, be safe, take care of each other as much as possible. Salchih gonna go eat him a salad and work out.
Yeah, exactly.
Eat him some rabbit food and work out.
With some
But
salmon.
oh wow, that's a luxury item right there.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but you enjoy the rest of your evening. Everyone else in the chat, enjoy the rest of your evening. You have a productive and safe week. And I will talk to y'all on the next one. Peace.
All right.